These two grown men had never seen The Simpsons. How the fuck's that even happen? We're two grown men on a mission now, so buckle up and just strap in.
Stealing a young girl's heart, just like Gene and Roy, singing those campfire songs. Oh, I should have been a cowboy.
These two grown men had never seen The Simpsons. It's America's Barley Basket.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 44 of America's Barley Basket. I am Nathan Folsebuck. Sitting next to me, virtually, is Marlin Wells.
Hello, Nathan.
Hello, Marlin.
How's it going today, my man?
Well, we have a very special episode this week. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the COVID episode.
Hooray!
Yeah, we did it. I did it. We need to have some somber music. We haven't had a very special episode yet. This is it. This is where the episode of Boy Meets World where the savage kid tries drinking for the first time.
Oh yeah, this is this a learn something episode?
Yeah, this could be a learn something episode. Yeah,
I'll put some music under here.
Oh, perfect. So got me the COVID. I think as of Monday. Monday's when I first noticed I was sick. I got tested on Wednesday.
You did it.
Yeah, I did it. And little fun fact for all our science fans out there: I was fully vaxxed. So keep that head on a swivel, because vaccines are not magic.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go.
Congratulations on being one of the 0.001% of fully vaccinated people who still catch it, and then all the anti-vaxxers point to as an example of it not working.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Apparently, you do kind of feel special when you get the Roro. You get a call from a government official. You get emails every day where you get to list your symptoms. I had a fun phone call with a nice lady named Janice. She had a lot of info for me.
What up, Janice? Shout out, Janice.
Janice, I didn't ask if she was a fan of the podcast.
Man, what are you doing out there? We need promotion, Nathan.
I just
you gotta be
say,
out here fucking shilling this show, my man.
I gotta have more of a marketing mind, yeah. One thing she did say, because I was kind of it's just the pits that, I get fully vaxxed. I was super careful, then this and that. She's like, we'll look at it this way. Because she asked what my pre-existing conditions are, and I'm like, I am a big old butter chunk. And she's like, oh. she's like, well, look at it this way. She's like, I've talked to a handful of people that have gotten it that are fully vaxxed. Almost none of them get severe. And she's like, you could have gotten severe. She's like, you have a lot of checkpoints. You're a middle-aged man. You got high blood pressure, and you're a big old burly boy. That's not an equation that adds up to you just getting the sniffles.
Yeah, look at it this way. You got the sniffles instead of a coffin.
Yeah.
You're coughing instead of getting a coffin. That's the better joke.
Yeah, and on that, it's interesting, just the kind of things you read about that kind of in your head become fact. I'd always heard that with COVID, it's a dry cough, an irritating kind of dry cough, which she said is the case for most. But she's like, because I was I never had a bad cough, and when I did, it was phlegmy. I cough every 20 minutes and it'd be phlegmy. She's like, nope, some people get that too.
It's almost like this is a new thing that we haven't really pinned down yet.
Yeah, it's fun. It's the hot new virus of 2020. One thing, thankfully I did it off air. I had to get rid of a whole bunch of snot, because that's what's been the last few days. It's been a lot of sinus runoff and stuff. It's kind of cool, though, that I am now a biological weapon producer. My holes are just dripping poison.
It's like you blow your nose and think to yourself, if I mailed this to a congressman, I could really do some damage.
Bro, I've been saying that. I need to start wiping my nose on certain congressmen's door handles.
North Dakota ones in particular.
Yeah, there's a handful.
Well, I'm glad that you're still above ground. I'm glad the vaccination helped with that, at least.
Yeah.
And to be clear, you didn't get fully vaccinated and then ran out there with no mask on, licking doorknobs and putting your tongue in people's mouths.
And I've been waiting to lick doorknobs. You know me, dude. That's my thing.
You love licking doorknobs.
Hey, Marlin, do you think I can get both the cold knob and the hot knob on this truck stop bathroom faucet in my mouth?
I've seen it happen. I see how bummed you are when you go to a truck stop bathroom and it has the motion sensor instead of the knobs. You're like, aw, man.
What am I supposed to do with this?
Well, I guess I gotta go lick the handles on all the beverage coolers then.
Oh, sick.
I gotta get my fix somehow. I guess I'm headed over to the Mountain Dew door.
Yeah. The most extreme viruses hang out on the Mountain Dew door.
Exactly. Well, this is like a COVID episode all around because I have COVID news as well, but better. I went and got round 1 of the old pointy juice just a few days ago. So I got.
How'd you feel?
Honestly, I had a couple days with a little arm stiffness in that arm, but other than that, totally fine. So
that was the same with me too. Sore arm, and that was about it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, maybe I'm a little run down, but man, I'm run down every day. I don't.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like every day, I am not at 100%. So.
And like, she was asking too, the nice state lady. She's like, well, do you have headaches? I'm like, yeah, but I have headaches all the time anyhow, which that's troubling. But she also said, if you get a COVID headache, you'll know. I'm like, oh, that's comforting. It's like, just wait for my brain to start shaking in my skull.
Like I was just about to say, I've also had bad headaches for the past few days, but I'm not sure if that's shot related or not. Maybe it is, but I also ate at an Arby's a few days ago, so that could very well be that too. I went and I got the meats and haven't felt good since. So
someone was just telling me that if you're going to get drive-through mozzie sticks, that Arby's is the place to go. That's just I don't even know if we dare verify it. I don't think I've had them to verify, but they say that they're a cut above your typical, because I think food like that at a fast food restaurant is usually pretty limp dickish.
Yeah, agreed. I know that they apparently got rid of the jalapeno poppers and the Bronco berry sauce, so I barely didn't burn the place down.
I thought the jalapeno poppers was kind of one of their things, because that's not something a typical fast food joint would have. Interesting.
Right. So.
Well, I need you to expand on this Bronco berry sauce. Color me intrigued.
Oh, man. Bronco berry sauce was the shit. It was like this deep purple color, and it was... maybe somewhere between red and purple, but like very like the shade of color that lets you know that it's not natural. Like this is chemical. Yeah. This is too bright. But it was fruity, but had a little bit of a kick to it. It was this
interesting
spicy fruit sauce that you dipped your jalapeno poppers in, and it was great. And now it's gone.
See, I think that's Arby's calling card. They always had good liquids, like good dipping liquids or whatever I like the shit they slather a roast beef sandwich in. I'm sure it's poison, but it's fucking Arby's. I'm not going to Arby's to get fit.
No, you go to Arby's at your saddest, or that's when I go anyway.
I feel Arby's gets a bad rap, but I don't think Arby's is any more trashy than a McDonald's or a Burger King. You know,
I think it's better food. There's just something.
Oh, totally.
There's an emotional damage that comes with an Arby's
true.
visit.
That's very true.
Sure precisely why, but
I think it's a lot of single men in the drive-thru at an Arby's. It's a lot of guys, they're 40 years old. They're still not a contractor. They're not in charge. They're still picking up scraps at the job site. They really got a lot on their plate. Like, oh man, is this it? Is this how am I peaking?
Like guys who go to Arby's work for a roofing company, but don't drive the pickup with the name on the side.
Yeah. Or they got to ride in the box. I mean, it's getting every year it gets a little harder to climb in. It's like, what happens when I can't climb in? There's no retirement. I don't have a 401k.
The Arby's is a dad fast food joint. Arby's, I don't think would ever have a Happy Meal toy. They're just like, hey, you want some meat? Here, come in.
Oh. Arby's at one point kind of did, because my only childhood experience with an Arby's, because I don't think Minot had one growing up, but on one of my dad's once a year we got to go to Bismarck, which was like going to fucking Metropolis. You know? Like,
may as well be New York.
What do you mean there's a town bigger than Minot, North Dakota? When I was 7 years old, that blew my fucking brain apart. But I remember going to we were in the mall. What was the mall in Bismarck called? Like anyone listening cares, but
there were two. Kirkwood was the good one, and Gateway was the shitty one. Okay,
we were in the Kirkwood Mall, and we were never a fast food family, even when we'd go to a town big enough to have fast food. But my folks didn't know Bismarck, so we're just in the mall. There's a food court. We'll just eat here. Must have been this scenario, and we were at an Arby's, and I got the kids' meal because I was a kid, and I remember I got a Porky Pig pencil topper with a cowboy hat. I remember just thinking, oh, I bet big city kids eat every goddamn meal of the day at an Arby's. They get all this cool shit. Like, little did I know, if you ate every meal at an Arby's as a child, you would top out at 4'5". You would just stunt your growth from all that Bronco berry sauce. Despite the name, there's no berry nutrients. That does not have a high ORAC count.
No, not gonna stave off the scurvy with enough Bronco berry sauce. Oh, you're just popping the tops on them, sucking them down like Jello shots. All right.
Yeah. Like, you never see a family going through a drive-through at an Arby's on a Sunday night to get like an ice cream treat. That's a Dairy Queen thing. That's Arby's is for single men.
No child's ever gone to Arby's for his birthday party.
Yeah. They should really pull into that lane hard. They're advertising Arby's is for single men. Or men in loveless relationships.
Now that I think about it, if you remember last week we were talking about pay attention to the advertisements because that's who they think is watching the show you're watching. There are a fair amount of Arby's commercials during wrestling on Wednesday nights.
Oh, so that makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. Add that to the Frank Thomas dick pill ads and RV ads.
I always find it fascinating. More so Arby's than Hardee's. Like, Arby's is known more for, like, is it ever going to get to a point Arby's is just not going to bother making regular French fries? Like who isn't getting the curly fries at Arby's? I guess.
Because I'm exposed to Arby's ad campaigns, thanks to pro wrestling, they just started carrying regular ass crinkle cut fries, which was a delight because fuck a curly fry. I don't want it.
Oh, what? But you get they're spicy. They got the seasoning on them.
I don't want the seasoning. I don't.
Holy shit.
How Midwestern are you that the curly fries at Arby's are spicy?
Can I get a side of water here? You got to dip these in some tap.
Oh, jeez, is that black pepper in there?
I'm counting 3 or 4 specks per curly fry. Come on. I got to go back to work this afternoon.
No, I am not a curly fry person.
I'm usually not. But like, I think with fast food fries, they're usually so meh to begin with. Like, my favorite fry is a fresh batch of crinkle cut fries, but there's something about fast food stuff. It's just not hot enough usually to make it perfect like you do if you're at like a mom and pop type diner, like a burger joint. But God, I'll fuck up some crinkle cut fries.
Yeah, I like a crinkle cut. I think we've talked about before. I like a fat fry. I like a thick fry with a soft middle.
I think it's a testament to our how grown up we are and how civil we are that we have kept this podcast going after that information came out.
We're professionals.
If I had a daughter and I found out that her fiance was into steak fries, whew, boy, I'd have to take a long walk to digest that. Like, okay, I guess he's gonna raise my goddamn grandsons to like fucking steak fries.
Gonna be a cold day in hell before I walk you down the aisle and give you to some potato wedge eater.
Yeah, in the middle of the wedding. Why not just get a goddamn baked potato?
Preacher gets to that speak now or forever hold your peace bit. Your daughter's just glaring at you. Don't you do it? Don't you bring the potatoes into this? So we're ready to kick off our very special episode with The Simpsons, which is what the show is about on paper.
Occasionally.
Ostensibly, yeah.
Yeah. On paper's a good way to put it. When we try to get the sitcom or a book deal, we're going to really sell the Simpsons part and hopefully don't listen to the podcast.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I need to change the podcast description on all the podcast services because what this show has become happened organically. So all of the podcast service descriptions are just like, hey, these two comedians have never seen The Simpsons, so they're going to watch them and document it, which I feel at this point is fucking near false advertising.
Yeah. And also, I just don't see how that could be interesting. I'm not you know what I don't want is to listen to someone that doesn't know shit about a topic talk about a topic, you know?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what if I want to listen, I'm a sports guy. I don't want to listen to fucking knuckleheads try to explain the fucking NBA salary cap to me. Like, no.
Yeah, that's why sports radio is usually hosted by someone who knows about sports, and it's the callers who are the fucking idiots.
Yeah, you know, maybe what you need is a little of both. You need the rage by listening to uninformed people that have strong opinions. Mm-hmm. One of my least favorite fucking qualities in a human.
Oh, cool. You picked a hell of a state to be in.
Yeah, no shit. That's why, the idea of going to a Buffalo Wild Wings to watch a Vikings game is just a special kind of torture. I hate it. It makes me not want to like football. Because I hate dumb sports fans. And hey, you know, I am not a proud man. I have zero self-esteem. But by God, I know the sports I'm into. I'm a fucking nerd about it. I got a pretty good concept of what fucking works. When I hear people that know a fraction of what I know and are somehow 10 times louder than I am, fuck, dude. Pay attention to this. If you're a sports person, you want to know the guy that doesn't know what he's doing, but is somehow loud. You want to know how you can tell he's a fucking idiot when he complains about the refs the whole fucking time. Every call against their team's the wrong call, even when it's fucking glaring. An offensive lineman could have a goddamn spoon come out of his fucking tights and he's gouging a linebacker with it, Abdullah the Butcher style, and he's going to bitch that they get a fucking, a 15-yard penalty for an unnecessary roughness. Oh, come on! It's Jesus Christ, dude. Sit the fuck down and eat your goddamn chicken wings.
Oh, you really want to experience that? Try being an MMA fan watching an MMA pay-per-view at a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh God, just... The fucking sad man energy in that has got to be palpable. Got to warp the fucking walls with that level of sad moisture.
Yeah.
Just give me it. Someone fucking say something, bro.
Yeah, well, the majority of it is just you're just in a room with 100 Kyles in their Affliction t-shirts, or I guess at this point it's American Fighter or whatever the douchebag brand is at this point, with their Pit Viper shades on the back of their head, fucking 7 Miller Lights in, being I could have beat him. It's oh my God, I'm gonna fucking set this whole place on fire. There's no other way out.
I would just be sitting there reliving that scene from the movie Aliens in my head after they got their asses kicked by their first run-in, where it's just Vasquez. I say we roll in some canisters of CN20. And then the other guy's we don't even know if nerve gas will work on him. Meanwhile, I'd be inside. I'd willingly sacrifice myself. We could take all these people out of the gene pool.
Yeah, if we could do away with all of these sentient Monster Energy drinks in one fell swoop, let's do it.
I bet being a big MMA fan is just a lot of times apologizing to your non-MMA friends.
Yeah.
I know almost all of us suck. I get it.
But I have a whole lifetime of preparing those kinds of speeches because I've liked Kiss and Insane Clown Posse and pro wrestling my whole life. So it's like, listen, the fans are going to ruin the band a little, but try to enjoy the music.
Yeah. We've discussed that before too. Like, Kiss is one of those things. I love it. If you don't, I almost
Totally
envy
get
you.
How nice it must be for you to not know all the words to Cold Gin.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, that's a good song.
Fucking A, it is.
It's so dumb.
Yeah.
It's what it is it's sober guys trying to write a song about drinking. It's like, who's drinking cold gin? What? It's like, it'd be like 12-year-olds trying to be cool about booze. Like, they don't know what they're talking about. Like,
yeah, it's like showing up to a high school party when you're 14 going like, I got some schnapps from the liquor cabinet.
Yeah. Drink a fucking bottle of vermouth and shit your pants. It's like 7:30.
Oh, fuck. Well, we almost started talking about The Simpsons.
E for effort.
So let's come back to it on round 2 and see if this one sticks.
Here we go.
We're in the middle of season 10. We're doing episodes 14 through 18 today. And number 1 right out the gate aired February 14th, Valentine's Day, 1999. It's called I'm with Cupid. Pretty good couch gag where they all get the perm domes on their head when they're on the couch.
Yeah.
And then when they pull back, they all have switched hair. Like, I thought Lisa with Homer's hair was a really funny visual.
Yeah.
So,
and does Maggie tip over?
yeah, because I think Maggie has Marge's
hair.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. I was like, all right. Everyone's going to bed in the Simpson house. Bart breaks the news to Marge that he has a big science project that needs to be done by tomorrow morning. A thing that I don't think I ever made my parents suffer through, but something you see on TV, definitely. Oh, I got a big project due tomorrow. Anyway, good night. Marge, fights it, but she's like, yeah, I'll bail you out. So Marge is going to make his diorama, his giant working digestive system, an elaborate science project.
Did you guys even have a science fair?
Fuck no.
I think we did 1 year, and they just realized we can't. Then we had something called the Science Olympiad, which then it was like teams of 4, which was perfect because then, you just hope exactly how it worked. It was me, 1 girl who was really a go-getter, and then 2 legit, gonna quit school within months juvenile delinquents. Shout out to Sarah for doing the lion's share of the work. My God, because, she was I'm sure wanted to get an A. I wanted to pass. Those other 2, they had to have guys with pitchforks at the doors to keep them in the school. So it was a lot of work on poor Sarah.
Yeah, it was, I was in some manner senior year of some math competition team, which math is one of my weakest subjects in high school. So I was definitely the seat filler. I was definitely we need a 4th. So I guess you'll do.
Yeah, you're the backup center. He can foul Shaq 6 times. That's what he can do.
I'm like the long snapper. I'm good at one thing, and I can kind of fill in everywhere else.
And on the subject of having your mom help with something, I don't remember a lot of that, except it's funny that we're discussing a Valentine's Day episode. The one time it would come into play is, I don't know if your school did this, but we would always have a Valentine's Day party in class.
And did everyone bring a box?
Yep. And my visions of what I wanted always exceeded my abilities to create. So I was like, Mom, I want a robot with moving arms. And my mom, a wonderful woman, not a creative lady. Not a creative lady at all. That's not her jam. She's not a crafty person at all. That's not her thing. So she would try to help, and I'd be furious that my goddamn shoebox robot didn't have blinking eyes.
You're pissed that you don't have electronics in your Valentine's box.
That my mom isn't fucking MacGyver. It's like, well, you're going to make another space shuttle because this copy of Better Homes and Gardens has a space shuttle in it.
Because we got an empty oatmeal container, so it's got to be cylindrical, whatever you're making.
And just so kids didn't feel sad, I was remember you had to give everybody a... Like I always remember too, like, oh, I don't want to give the girls real mushy ones because I don't want them to think anything. So then it's like, well, then now all I got left is a bunch of mushy ones for the dudes. Hey, Chip, let's neck. Love, Nathan. What?
Oh, shit. So Marge, of course, makes his working digestive, so like looks good and functions like she's killing it. Stayed up all night to do it, but killed it. And Nelson immediately destroys it on the bus. And that was, speaking of Valentine's boxes, that was the thing was trying to get it to and from school undestroyed.
Yeah, that's on a very bumpy gravel road on a long bus ride.
Yeah, an hour-long bus ride on a gravel road. Like, you're just, like, it may as well be someone's ashes with how carefully you're holding it on your lap.
I remember that by bringing, I had one of the bigger G.I. Joe helicopters. It was one of the few cool toys I had. And I brought that on the bus for show and tell. I'm like, man, that bus takes a sharp turn. Your body's someone's going to bump into you and shatter off those propeller blades. So I lived in perpetual fear of that happening.
Yeah, that's a dainty thing to have on a school bus full of screaming assholes.
Very true.
Because that was the other thing. You had to also be like, I can't act like I'm too proud of it, or one of the older kids will break it out of spite. Yeah.
Older kids could sense you were happy. It is oh, he's happy. What's he holding? I don't know what it is, but I'm going to punt it on top of the school. Well, I guess I don't like that anymore, so goodbye.
Yeah. They can sense it. They can sense if you like a thing, and they will destroy it.
And I can't act like I'm sad that they destroyed the thing I love, because that'll just incense them even more. Then they'll punt me on top of the school.
That's just fuel for the next thing I like. Yeah. Nelson destroys this thing immediately on the school bus. The Simpsons, Marge had run into Apu at the Quickie Mart when she was buying art supplies. The Quickie Mart really has you covered for whatever you need, apparently.
They sure do.
It's the Ben Franklin of convenience stores. So the Simpsons, Apu had invited them over for dinner one night, and so the Simpsons are over at Apu and Manjula's. Apu is in the doghouse for working all the time. Turns out he's been telling Manjula that the typical American man works like 18 hours a day, every day, no weekends, no nothing.
Yeah.
Man. He's in the
I want to mess up some
that.
Indian food so bad, dude.
Yeah, dude, I could ruin a plate of Indian food right now.
And I know you could just get it to go, but Indian food is a food I like buffet style. I'm like a free safety, like a all-pro free safety who's given carte blanche to kind of go off script. So it's like, do I want a blitz? What are we doing here? How's that naan looking? Am I really going to load up on naan? If it ain't fresh, I might not. Do a little more rice this time.
Head on a swivel.
Yeah, got that Troy Polamalu hair flying.
I've been like doing takeout and the occasional delivery kind of throughout this whole year, just doing what I can. A, I love food, and B, why not support these
Totally.
places. But it has been a while since I've had the itch for Indian food. I went through a spell there where every time I would get the itch for Indian food, I would go get Ethiopian food, it's different, but tickles the same itch. You can put them in the same folder as far as flavor profiles go. But it might be time. It might be time to go hit up one of the Indian joints in town.
Yeah, and God, yeah, you're right though. Ethiopian, Indian, they got to have a lot of the same like spices and stuff because both are the bomb.
Yeah, they've easily become some of my favorite like ethnic food over the past couple years.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like if you're talking about different like ethnic foods. Indian might be at the top of the mountain for me right now. I love Indian food. God damn it, it's good.
Yeah, it has to compete for me anyway. It has to really compete with Japanese and Mexican food. But it's up there, man.
It's also good.
Yeah. Basically, we like food is what we're saying.
Or I always think too, because I so rarely eat it, but like getting really good Italian food too. Like
yeah, good Italian is tough to beat and hard to find here in this town.
Yeah, man. No doubt. But like because we grew up eating. I mean, it's your mom works 8 hours a day. She just shouldn't have to come home and cook you a goddamn feast. But we eat a lot of noodle dishes growing up around here.
Yeah.
So in my head, noodles equal fuel to get you through a miserable childhood. But so sometimes you got to remember, holy shit, like a good Italian meal will blow your goddamn mind.
Yeah, some real good ziti or a real proper lasagna will really fuck you up bad.
Man, I will. One of my favorite foods is trash lasagna too, like a Stouffer's
like
pre-made
frozen lasagna.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like I think that's because that was something my dad would not want to eat. That might have been like mom knows dad's going to be out of town, so hey, we're having lasagna tonight. Yay!
It's a treat.
Just have dad, so dad can't be there to grumble. There's not enough corn in it. Why does everything have to have corn?
Do you
I was
own
very
stock
old.
in corn?
Yeah, I was very old before I found out that like corn isn't a staple in chili. It just wasn't our house because my dad. He's like a shark. Like sharks can't stop swimming. My dad has to constantly be consuming corn. And I get it. Corn's pretty good.
Corn's great.
Yeah, I've never had a hankering for it. But again, probably because 1/3 of my body is corn.
I like that some voodoo witch got a hold of your dad early in life and was like, if you don't have one kernel of corn in your system at all times, you will just wither and die right there on the spot.
Got a pill jar beside his bed, just has dry corn kernels in it.
I'm running low. I'm going to have to stop by the field on the way in and strip an ear clean.
Yeah.
So Apu in trouble with Manjula for all of the working. We go to the Quickie Mart where Homer's picking out a Valentine's Day card, and I love that he picks like the dumbest one with the monkeys and "You're so appealing."
There's that one that says, "You're a heck of a blacksmith." That got a laugh out of me.
Yeah, it's a good Valentine's Day card. Apu is out to make it up to Manjula. Is it Manjula or Okay,
I think so.
Yes.
Yep.
I always confuse whether it's Manjula or Mandula, but no, there's a J in there. So he's going to make it up to her because he's ashamed of himself for having led her on about the traditional 18-hour workday. So he does. He starts like going over the top, big gifts, big displays of affection, and all of the women in Springfield are pissed at their husbands. We see like we get a glimpse into the Wiggum household, which we don't see Chief Wiggum's wife, whose name I don't know, very often. But the women are all pissed at their husbands, which means the husbands are pissed at Apu because they're mad
idiots.
he's making them look bad. There's a line from Moe when they're all at Moe's getting kind of mobbed up, where everyone's explaining how they're in trouble with their wives, and Moe's like, yeah, the chick I'm stalking had me pushed back to 200 feet, and then you hear a voice. I don't know if it's identified who the voice is, but you hear a background voice go, oh, that's too far. Oh shit, God, I thought that was funny. So now you have a crew of these pissed off men. I forget all who it is, but Homer is there and Wiggum is there for sure. Maybe Moe. Ned is in the car, but they're tailing Apu because they're going to sabotage him. Ned eventually gets thrown out of the car for bringing up, with all the effort that we're putting in, we could just be doing something nice for our wives, and they throw him out.
Yeah. Usually I don't like dumb, dipshit husbandry, but it seems like when the whole town is that way, I don't know, it's just, they're being idiots, and I'm kind of like, okay, they're going to get their comeuppance, I assume, so I'm with them so far.
It's it's less personal because it's a whole group of them.
Yep.
It's hard to be mad at everyone.
Yep, absolutely.
They tail Apu to the airport, and they see Elton John and assume that Apu is that this is his doing, that he's flown Elton John in. I don't know how much money they think Apu makes at the Quickie Mart, that they think that he can fly in Elton John to perform for his wife. So there's a weird scene where they just kind of buddy up to Elton John a little bit and then throw him in a pet carrier.
Yeah.
This was one of those celebrity ones where I'm like, did Elton need to be here? I don't know that Elton needed to be here.
I don't think I disliked this one, because you've heard me get salty about all the celebrity cameos, but just for the line coming up where he mentions that he's like, I just chewed out of a pet carrier. That made me laugh. But yeah.
Turns out Apu was just at the airport because he had hired a skywriter, and he hands him the note that he wants written, which is like, I love you, Mandula, you, the letter U. And then the skywriter is, he's going to do his job, heads up there, and Homer stows away in the back seat. He's going to put a stop to this, and Homer breaks his tank or whatever full of skywriting juice. It occurred to me during this episode, I don't know what they use, but whatever it is, Homer breaks it. Broke it with such timing that the message now reads, I love you, and then like a weird star where the tank had exploded. So all of the women in Springfield think their own husbands did that for them. Like you see Maud Flanders reading it as I love you, Angel. Well, that must be Ned. So all of the women think that it's for them. The men continue to fight in the airplane, and the pilot flips it upside down and runs Homer through a thorny rose field. I love that I don't think roses are grown like corn. Like there's a whole field full of roses, but it's The Simpsons. So they're flying upside down, and he just drags Homer through this rose field, and Homer falls out right in the backyard, does a couple loop-de-loops on the clothesline, and so there he is in the yard with Marge with a bunch of roses, like it was his plan all along. And Marge, of course, swoons and thinks that's real sweet. And then we cut to the Quickie Mart, where Elton John is singing for Apu and Manjula on top of the Quickie Mart. I had forgotten that they are vegetarians and have a huge, elaborate garden on top of the Quickie Mart. We had touched on that several seasons ago during Lisa's vegetarian episode. I believe there was a beetle involved that time.
Yep. But, totally, yep. Yeah, that was a Paul McCartney one, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where we wrap up the Valentine's episode with Apu and Manjula drinking a champagne Slurpee, which I immediately was like, I would drink a champagne Slurpee.
Yeah,
for sure. That's got to be good.
Not, I mean, I've learned to accept that we're not going to get episodes like we did 3-4 seasons ago. But like, so for this batch, it was fine. The Rose thing was just a little too zany for me. Like, it was just like too silly and too far fetched, I guess. Like, oh, he just, all these roses happen to come together, and now it's like, yeah. But again, there's some. I probably had 2 laugh out louds, more than I probably get from an average sitcom. So hey.
I've grown to like accept and often enjoy when the Simpsons turn into the Looney Tunes,
Yeah.
So like that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. I was about to say anymore, but I'm not sure it ever really did, because it's like, oh yeah, he gets wrapped up in roses and then happens to land right in his own yard while his wife is there. Of course he does. It's a fucking cartoon.
You would think I would be into that more, because like I used to love reading Archie comic books. Every Archie comic book plot is that there's some kind of competition. Reggie and Archie are competing. Archie somehow completely flops, but he flops so spectacularly he somehow wins.
Like, and it works out just perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's And then Jughead eats like 75 cheeseburgers.
Jughead is just skinny wimpy from Popeye, right? That's what he's there for.
Yeah, he's a little more. Jughead is my favorite character in the Archie canon. Because, I don't know, Jughead had a few other things going on, too. And I think he also got some, like, the very few times that Archie comic made me laugh, it was usually because of Jughead or some Jughead take. Like,
yeah, I truly don't know fucking anything about Archie.
I at one point, as a child, owned us, because they were always very commonly found at rummage sales. Because, like, they're not really meant to be collectible. They're in line, and when you pay for your groceries, they're on the end cap. So buy an Archie, read it, and dispose of it. So I built up I had a stack of Archie comics taller than I was as a grown man. Like, hundreds of them. Because, yeah, like, you could get them a nickel a piece at rummage sales.
Oh, sure. Huh.
So, yeah.
It always seemed so corny.
Yeah, and it is, but there was just something comforting, I think, is probably looking back what I enjoyed about it. Like, you kind of knew what you're going to get. And I was just nuts about comic strips, comic books, anything with colorful drawings with fucking talk and bubbles. We're up to episode 15, Marge Simpson in Screaming Yellow Honkers, which... that has to be calling out Screaming Yellow Zonkers, which, are you familiar with Screaming Yellow Zonkers, Marlin?
Not a clue. I didn't get this reference at all.
As far as I know, unless this is named after something more culturally significant, I know Screaming Yellow Zonkers as a Crunch and Munch knockoff snack. It's like a popcorn flavored, like mixed with nuts, like with like a hard coating. Because I'm assuming you're familiar with Crunch and Munch.
Yeah, it's like a Cracker Jack or a Fiddle Faddle, right?
Yep, Fiddle Faddle. Oh, also, man, look at you. I'm trying to think.
I don't know the Zonkers things, but I got Fiddle Faddle in my head somewhere.
Yeah. When I first was old enough to get a driver, when you picture getting a driver's license, like, oh man, things are gonna change. This is it, Oh, you know what I found out would change is my dad would send me into town to the Cynics to always get him a Diet Mountain Dew, a box of Fiddle Faddle, a pack of Marlboro Lights, which it's a small town. You would explain to the cashier that you were Keith Folsomuck's son. Or my grandmother would sometimes be working at the food court, and she would let them know it was cool. And also get the Peddler, which was a free newspaper that was just a classified for tractors and cars and shit.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
Did they have a Peddler type thing in your hometown or in your area? Probably. They might have had the Peddler. I bet it was
the
statewide.
Finder.
Okay,
where I was.
But I remember a few times like having to call, like, hey, they need you to tell me it's a new kid working, and apparently he's the super cop in the Senex lineup, so he is not going to sell me. Here you go, and also be like, The peddler isn't here. Well, they drop him off Thursday, so you just wait. So I would sit in Senex and wait for the guy that would drop off a package of new peddlers. Like, yep, I'm truly emancipated with this driver's license.
Yep, boy, did life get better.
Yeah. But in this episode, we get, which I think is an amazing concept, the school faculty talent show.
Yep. As soon as I read the sign, faculty talent show, I was like, this should be a real thing because this is an amazing idea.
What a concept. For how I'm wired, for me, the show peaked with goddamn Mrs. Krabappel, or Miss Krabappel, and that balloon routine.
Yep, the balloon striptease, singing Fever.
Yeah, and is she popping them with a lit cigarette, I think, too?
Yep, in a cigarette holder. Like, she's got the long cigarette holder, and she's slowly popping all the balloons
and I
while
like
singing
how
Fever.
Homer isn't into it. It's like, goddamn fucking Mrs. Krabappel's a fucking nice little snack, brother.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah. I guess
everyone's appalled. They show the audience, and it's like, oh, come on. Y'all are putting on airs. Y'all are waiting for all those balloons to be gone.
Exactly.
Don't act like you're not. I liked Groundskeeper Willie's stand-up with his super specific. You ever notice how I can't do a Scottish accent?
Yeah.
You ever notice how North Edinburgh golfers putt like this? And South Edinburgh golfers putt like this? Oh, man. I was dying.
But this whole talent show was kind of just a device to get us into the main plot point, which is when they're leaving, they're kind of trapped, trying to leave any event. And Homer loaded up on snacks, so Marge had to drive, and Marge, being Marge, is far too polite to drive aggressively. So,
oh my God, like the extreme passive driver that Marge was like frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm that way too. So Homer's getting fed up with Marge, and then we see Krusty is just like, screw this, I'm out. He's driving some big rig, some SUV, and he just pulls through.
Canyonero,
God
baby.
damn right, it's a Canyonero. Canyonero I was so happy to see that.
Yep, same here. And they even play a little bit of the song, like the Hank Williams Jr. song.
Yeah, and so Krusty, he doesn't have to put up with these lines. He just peels out of there, drives through a yard, gets to where he needs to go, and this sticks in Homer's head. So he's like, God damn it, it's Canyonero time. And goes to a car dealership, gets an outrageously signs a really terrible car loan, which Homer's an idiot. He doesn't care. That there's like, what is it? It's the CBP. Oh, what's that? Oh, crippling balloon payment. Don't worry about that.
Yep. Oh, don't worry about that. Yeah. Homer's even like, but that doesn't happen for a long time, right? Oh, yeah, totally. He's explaining this lease. That's, I think Stan is the name of that character who steals Homer away from Gil and wouldn't let Gil seal the
poor
deal.
Gil. He goes on the phone explaining to his wife how he almost got a sale.
Yeah. Oh, this guy, who's right that, well, no, I didn't close. And then he's on that, first off, rotary cell phone, which is fantastic, and I wish was real. But then it's like, wait, who's that in the background? Oh, you said that was over. No, don't put him on the photo.
Yep.
Oh, God, I love Gil so much.
Yep. Gil's been a nice addition to the Springfield universe.
Yeah.
So Homer is loving life with his gigantic SUV until he drives it to work and he finds out he got the lady version. And Homer is a very self-conscious, what's the word I'm looking for? Asshole, but that just seems too general.
That's the one.
Like,
yeah,
is that,
like,
you think? Yeah.
Real, just terrified of anyone thinking he has any femininity to him at all, as if he's some man's man, which he is for sure not.
Yeah, he's a coward. Yeah, he has none of the good traits of masculinity at all.
Right, just
he's
the
worst of
part.
us. Yeah, he's the worst of us.
But like, I can't be driving this car if it's the lady version.
It's the F series, is what he gets.
Yep.
So he's like, nope, can't drive that. So now that's Marge's car now. And Marge protests because she doesn't want to drive a vehicle she needs, like one of those portable airplane step sets to get into, and Homer's like, Homer hotwires her car and leaves. He's like, nope. And then she discovers, there's like an electric fold-out step set to get into it, and it's a pretty ritzy rig. There's all sorts of fancy. There's a sunroof for her hair to stick out of, which that had to be a relief after years of cramping her head to get into a car.
Yeah, and the GPS says, "Where would you like to go, Marge?" And she goes, "Oh, no one's ever asked me that in my whole life."
Man, and GPS in the late 90s, I didn't even know such a thing existed.
Right? Definitely, like, I don't know, like Garmin's and like aftermarket stick it on your dash were probably a thing, but an inboard, screen, I don't know. I don't know if that was around in 99, but...
I bet you paid a ton of money for it if it didn't exist. But Marge has got it, and Marge is loving life driving that big old whip of hers around, and she's a bully. She's got road rage, and she doesn't. How does she end up losing her license?
She blows by a funeral procession.
That's what it is.
Wiggum pulls her over.
I like how Marge goes from being this just dainty, very passive driver to disrupting and possibly like injuring people at a funeral. Like, man, that candied arrow must be intoxicating.
I love that there's a quick joke when she blows by the funeral procession. Reverend Lovejoy leans out his window and is like, "Hey, show some respect to this casket full of bricks representing that soldier lost at sea." That's like a weirdly dark joke that they just crowbarred in there. Which I thought was very funny.
Little things like that. Like, okay, there's still some people on this writing crew that, they get it. Like, it's you're writing for The Simpsons. You can do stuff like that, like.
I like that she's so enamored with the car right before she gets pulled over. She's so enamored with the SUV that she's installing her own halogen headlights and therefore is not available to come rushing to Homer when he calls because he's excited that he found a 3-chambered peanut. Like, he pulls out that Y-shaped peanut and it's just so like, oh my God, Marge! I love that that's a thing that he would be that excited about.
I like how those halogen light bulbs have the ability to see through walls.
Right? Yeah.
Man, I miss the days of adding random aftermarket shit to your cars. Nowadays, you buy a car, that's what it is.
Yeah. We've talked about like the dumb Spencer's Gifts things you would add on, like the seat covers and steering wheel covers and 8-ball fucking valve stem covers, but also the bolting shit onto the front. Outside of like, I don't think off-roads ever got away from that. Like,
yeah, that's probably true.
Like,
good point.
You can still bolt, $800,000 worth of dumb shit to a Jeep Wrangler if you bought one.
Yeah, you're right. The Jeep Wrangler is still designed to get silly. Like,
yeah, that's that lives to be accessorized.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So Marge has lost her license, so she has to retake the test to get her license back, and she ends up failing a driving test when she crashes into a prison, which I thought that was a good visual. Like, the prison is just always one slight mishap from just completely falling apart,
being overrun. Yeah. I like that during that like angry drivers class, they have to watch that video, and I noted this is the first like educational video or newsreel that we've seen since Phil Hartman died, and this really missed Troy McClure.
Oh, God, I didn't even put that together.
You could tell, like, this was meant to be a Troy McClure video for sure, but instead it's just some cop explaining these jokes and how it is not the same. This is the first one we've seen that isn't a Troy McClure video.
Good catch.
I immediately was disheartened. I was like, oh, man. Because it's all the similar style jokes other than the "you might know me from" joke at the top.
Yep.
but it's all similar jokes, and I heard it all in Phil Hartman's voice. I was like, man.
God, that's weird to think of, but that's a good point. Yeah.
But yeah, her flipping out that everyone leaving this class won't just go. Like Skinner's mom and the one juvenile delinquent being like, no after you. And Marge just slowly flips shit and drives through that fucking prison fence.
What's your driving record? Were you ever a speed demon in your younger days or currently?
I have gotten to be in my older age, weirdly
Fascinating.
enough. Like I'm at a point in my life, I set the cruise at 10 miles over the speed limit and just fucking go. Like I'm not fucking bombing down the highway at 100 miles an hour, but it's like, no, I'm gonna, 10 over, set the cruise, fuck it. Like 10 over, arrest me. I dare you. But I'll pay a fucking ticket. Who cares?
Oh, interesting. Even on the interstate, huh? 10 over?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Only on the interstate, really, because I'm not going to use cruise anywhere else.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Interstate out here is 75, so that's 85. That's a manageable speed. There's nothing. It's a long, straight, flat road,
I think what broke me of that is, growing up, always having to drive Highway 2. The cops in Devil's Lake, North Dakota, will pull you 5 miles over, you're getting pulled over.
Really?
I think it's as close, like, when you hear of other places having, like, corrupt, like, speed traps, like, that's the closest North Dakota gets, because states up here are pretty good about it, because they know, hey, we're a million miles from everything, drive fast, but they're the ones that always, I was with a couple times as a teen, or as a college-age kid, with buddies getting tickets for 5 miles over.
Huh.
So I always set my cruise at 4 miles over. To this day, I'm on I-29 doing 79, maybe 80.
Oh my God, that's funny. And North Dakota, a speed ticket costs you $4.50, because they use the point system on the licenses. It's something people from other parts of the country can't even come. Like, I told a friend about that, and he just politely assumed that I was wrong. Like, it's like, no, man, I don't know what to tell you. Like, yeah, our speeding tickets are ones of dollars, not hundreds of dollars. Like, yeah, I've only gotten one speeding ticket my whole life when I was like 17. So and it was again like fucking $10 or something like that. Like, the worst part about that speeding ticket was having to tell your mom you got a speeding ticket, Yep. It wasn't any manner of legal ramification you were in. But then, over on the Minnesota side, as soon as you cross the river, speeding tickets are fucking expensive on the Minnesota side. It's like $120 for a speeding ticket.
I get a speeding ticket about once every decade or so. And I got one about 3 years ago. So I'm good. I'm good for a while. It was like 17, 27, and 37. So I have a few years left.
It's coming, though.
Yeah, got to get ready for it.
Got to start saving up for your $10 speeding ticket.
Yeah. Here we go. Take a little bit off each paycheck. Save up for that speed ticket fund.
The speeding is kind of the only bad driving habit I have. I'm a pretty... whatever the opposite of road rage, I'm a pretty understanding driver, unless I'm in a hurry, which doesn't happen very often. So, the most you'll ever get out of me is, go at a stop sign, come on. But that's about it.
Yeah, I do have road rage, but I stifle it pretty quick. I'm not going to chase someone down the road with, a fucking Morning Star swinging out the window.
You don't have your lucky driving brick in your center console.
Just a nice stack of bricks in the passenger seat.
Yeah, it's a pain when we do comedy shows. Dude, move
everyone's got to ride in the back. Daddy's bricks sit up front.
Yeah, you got a seatbelt on them.
Yeah. But it turns out that Marge's road rage is required when Homer, doing Homer shit, accidentally sets the rhinoceros at the zoo free. So we got a herd of rhinos terrorizing Springfield.
A fucking rhino stampede.
So Marge now is going to assist the police in rounding up all the animals. But they don't get them all because one of them has hooked Homer by the belt.
Which is a great visual.
Yep, I thought that was pretty good too, yeah. So she ends up chasing the rhino into I think it's a construction site. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she has to get rid of the canyon arrow. The canyon arrow crashes, bursts into flames. So the rhino stamps out the fire, which gives Homer time to... Like, who knew that rhinos just instinctually will stamp out a fire? Good for them. Never knew they were so civic-minded.
Yeah, Marge knows and explains how she knows in what is, I think, an amazing couple of minutes of television.
The whole NBC thing was so great.
Yeah, when she's like... Because they even bring up, like, how did you know all these facts? A, that SUVs roll over at high speeds when you turn them, and B, that rhinos instinctively put out fires. She's like, oh, Dateline with Stone Phillips. And
Yep.
I forget who asks, but like, oh, what does that air on? Why, NBC, of course. They have great programming all the time. And that long, extended, how great is NBC shtick was so fucking funny.
So weird. Yeah, I loved it. It was like a throwback to golden era, we don't give a fuck Simpsons.
Yeah, that was extremely funny.
Yeah, because how long it went on, too.
Yeah.
Which that episode, fine. The canyon arrow saves it. I love the canyon arrow.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I had no beef with that one. And I like that after they praise and after they're all praising NBC for so long, then over the credits, you hear Homer like making an apology. Did you listen through all the credits of him?
No,
being
I don't know if I did.
Yeah, like over the credits, after just praising NBC, you hear him go like, it's been brought to my attention, and I'm making this of my own free will, and you hear a gun cock.
Yep.
Like, it turns out that NBC is not a good network, and that Fox is the best. And he wraps up with, so in summary, NBC bad, Fox good, CBS great. And then there's a bunch of gunshots.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that. Like, yeah, why even bring up CBS?
Right. Yeah. God, that was funny.
Yeah, that was a very good ending.
Yeah, I dug that episode.
Yep. So far, so good.
A lot of episodes that I don't feel extremely strongly about one way or the other. Like they're all just good. They're all just, better than average.
I'd say so, yep. Like not a whole lot. It's like I didn't like the Rose joke, but so far the jokes that haven't worked at least like weren't insulting my intelligence. Like
sure,
so I was like, okay, this is fine.
Such as the next one, which is episode 16, Make Room for Lisa, and I love how far we have to go to set up what the episode is about. Like the episode is about like Lisa losing her room essentially, and then having to deal with that. But it takes a solid 10 minutes of setup to get us there, and I love how elaborate it is. We start in Homer's, not office, but workspace, where he thinks he has time traveled back to 1939 because of the radio. They're doing the bit of like, ice cream cones are a nickel, and it's 1939, and this song is number one. And he's freaking the fuck out. Which is maybe one of my favorite dumb Homers, thinking he's traveled in time. And Lenny and Carl come in, and I think it's Lenny who says, hey, Homer, or it might be Carl, hey, Homer, what's going on? Did you travel through time again? As if this is not the first time they've seen this.
Yeah, that was the best part of it. This is something that happens.
Yeah, this is just something that happens every so often. So they tune the radio to a modern station, and they're having a radio remote at PJ O'Hannigan's, where they're doing like a a nonstop happy hour, and they're in the 36th hour of it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, boy, I cannot imagine something I would want to do less than host a radio remote at a bar. Something I have done a lot of in my life.
I was so happy to hear the Morning Zoo radio guys back. And so I've got to ask, since you were in the industry, like, I just don't get, like, and I'm a guy that likes to have a few beers, especially in my younger days. I've never once like, oh, fucking the classic rock radio station guys are broadcasting from a bar. I gotta see this. Never once. Like, who does that bring out? I don't like, you know what would bring me out? Cheap beer. Like, just pay for a 45 or 15-second advertisement. Hey, 2 for 1s at fucking Silligan's or whatever fucking bar. Like I don't get it. Like
there's almost always some manner of drink special that goes with those. Like, oh, it's 2 for 1s now till 7 while we're out here broadcasting.
I just,
but like,
so baffling to me. Like the amount of work it has to go to set up a remote. Like, why? Like, I don't get it. Jesus, I bet the fucking people that are into that are absolute mutants.
So I can tell you exactly who comes to those because I hosted a lot of them in my radio career. Like, radio sales appeal to 2 people. The person who likes the station and the personalities and wants to come see them, and impulses. All radio advertising is based on impulse. So you hear, hey, we're out at Chucklefucks and it's half-price drinks for the next 2 hours, and you just hear that and you're in the neighborhood and you're in your car. I'll stop for a couple on the way home. But miserable experiences, the radio bar remotes. Because that first group of people, the group of people who really like the station and you, the DJ, and will come to every remote you're at, is creepy. Like, what a creepy group of people. People who show up to every remote you're at and I assume have 40,000 of your station's t-shirts and haven't paid for a ticket to anything in 10 years because they always come out and win them. Prize pigs, we called them. Yeah. Awful people. Fucking horrible people.
Oh, I bet. I'm here for the free Sam Adams coasters. Well, there they are. Help yourself.
Yeah. Can I get one of those Jägermeister bumper stickers, and I'm going to put my name in the box for the fucking Third Eye Blind tickets.
Go right ahead, sir. Today's your day.
And then not buy a drink. Then, want to bullshit with you, the DJ, because they think that you're friends, and then leave after an hour.
Oh, my God.
They're the worst. And every station has them, and there is a lot of them.
Oh, that's fucking insane. That is a level of lonesome I hope I never feel.
And plus, no radio DJ ever got into it because he wants to be around people all the time.
Yeah. Good point. You want to talk at them, not with them.
Exactly. I want it to be one-sided. kind of like stand-up. I don't want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
I want you to have to listen to what I have to say.
Oh, and on the subject of doing the bar that they are at is such a great title. I think it's PJ O'Harrington's.
Yep.
Which is just a perfect amalgamation of all those type of chain restaurants / bars.
Exactly. That just struck me as like a fucking Irish Chili's.
Yep.
Homer goes down there. He's he's a wreck the next morning, which I like seeing. Or maybe it's later that day. It's never really explained. But big green top hat on and getting dragged into the house by Marge. Really tied one on down at PJ's. Then it comes around to Saturday, and it's the one day a month he agreed to do something with the kids, which I thought was, boy... Yeah. We had to force this arrangement into things just so Homer would spend time with his kids. it's Lisa's turn to pick what they're going to do, and they end up going to a Smithsonian exhibit. Lisa, of course, loving all the actual fun history stuff. Homer, in the meantime, just enamored by Fonzie's jacket.
Yeah.
Homer grabs the Bill of Rights out of its case and sits down in Archie Bunker's chair to read it, and he fucks it up. He tears it and then licks off part of it when he's trying to get a smudge off of there. And the OmniTouch Corporation, who sponsors this whole thing, in order to for Homer to make things right, it's agreed that he'll let OmniTouch put a cell phone tower on top of their house, which is a fun visual.
Yeah.
And then Lisa's room is dedicated to all the gizmos and gadgets and everything that, this kind of thing requires. And that's how we finally get to Lisa not having a room. Like, holy shit, we had to really take the scenic route. A lot of twists and
turns,
yeah, to get to this.
And it's funny that this hasn't been a plot device used yet, that making Bart and Lisa share a room. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it seems like a really kind of low-hanging softball premise, but we hadn't done it before, so we're going to do it now. I like that Homer is trying to pitch this as such a positive thing to Lisa, and sings the dum-da-dums along to the Odd Couple theme song for way too long.
Yep.
Which I thought was very funny.
There is another gag in this episode that, holy shit, even 20 years ago, I can't believe I wonder how many people caught it, was Homer lying on the couch facing away from the audience, and he's like, oh, this is comfortable. Andy Capp really has something here. That is a reference to the Andy Capp comic strip, because he always slept on the couch when he was hung over facing away, so his face was facing the back of the couch. Like, who was that for?
It wasn't for me, because I didn't even catch it. I didn't even blink at that.
Andy Capp was so passé by 1999, but tip of the cap Simpsons. Jesus, that's an obscure reference.
We still got a couple of nerd boomers on the writing staff, apparently.
Andy Capp still lives on, though, because there's still a snack, Andy Capp fries, you could see at gas stations and stuff. If you look,
is he kind of a cartoon fellow with a big nose and a newsy cap pulled down so low that you can't see his eyes?
That's Andy Capp, all right.
Oh, I didn't know he was a character. I thought he was the guy from the snacks.
Nope, long-running comic strip, which the whole comic strip was he was just kind of a low-life, ne'er-do-well, lovable ne'er-do-well. A third of the comic strips were domestic violence based.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. He had either his browbeaten wife, a large woman, would beat him up, or he would beat her up. It's Jesus Christ. Even in the 80s, man, Andy Capp, going hard in the paint.
Yeah, in this comic strip for children.
Yeah. He was at either the dog track or the horse track a lot. I remember that was also a big premise, is him gambling his meager money away too. And tons of infidelity. He always had a side piece too. Jesus, what a reprehensible person to base a comic strip.
And this is just alongside Garfield and Marmaduke and Family Circus.
Yeah. Jesus, I owned multiple Andy Capp books as a kid.
Oh my God. The one nice side effect of the cell phone tower is that they're intercepting people's phone calls through the baby monitors. You have Marge listening in on hot gossip of people's phone calls. Now the government does it, and we're fine with it.
Yeah. Did you know anyone growing up that always had a scanner playing in the background?
Yes, I did.
That's a thing.
I'm pretty sure I know people now who have a police scanner who just flip it on and have it playing in the background while they're watching television.
Well, when I was later in life, my grandma always just had one casually playing in the background. That was always a thing.
I forget if it was an uncle or a family friend, someone I knew in my youth had a radar detector in their pickup. And I remember every time you rode with them, my fearful, soft boy mind thought that I'm going to go to prison because this is an illegal thing that we're doing right now.
God, I forgot about radar detectors.
Just sit in the passenger seat, just mortified, just like, oh God, I hope today's not the day.
Yeah. That the cops raid my uncle's pickup truck because he has a scanner in it, or has a radar detector, or a fuzz buster. That's a phrase I haven't said in a while.
There you go, Fuzzbuster.
Fuzzbuster, yeah.
Those are real things still? You think you can buy a Fuzzbuster today?
Oh, absolutely,
and
you can.
Works, you think?
They have gotten to be space age technology. I know a guy that still gets a good upgrades his Fuzzbuster every few years. Like, but what I don't get is how fast do you need to, because they were a thing when we were kids, because up until the mid-90s, speed limits were like 55, 65 on the interstate. Like, like 55 is slow. Like, it's like, and they were dropped down to those speeds because of the gas shortage in the 70s. So, can't you know how pissed people were, like having to drop everything by 10 miles? So, this market just blossomed out of that. Like I think there was a time when Fuzzbusters were kind of commonplace, at least amongst like 20-something men. Like you probably had a fuzz, because there were good ones and there were cheap ones. Yeah,
I would have just thought that like, as that tech got better, whatever tech the police use would have leapfrogged it. Like there would have been this arms race to where now in 2021 that the cops would have won that one by now.
I think there were a few times that did happen. Like there was kind of a cat and mouse, but like I know as of like 8 years ago, I had a friend that would spend a couple $100 and get a good one. And there was a thing like, if you get a speed ticket, show us and we'll send it back. We'll refund you it. Like, we're that confident in our product. Yeah. I'm talking about having things in your car. There used to be a dude that partied with us when I was in high school that had bolted like a adapter to his steering column, and he had a portable scanner that he would bring with him to parties. So that was just in the background with the music, so we would know if the cops were coming to bust a party. That is some next level shit.
That's good use of a police scanner.
Yep,
being
damn
a drinking high schooler who needs to know. To me, that's way more culturally acceptable than sitting listening to it in your home like a psychopath.
Yep. Or I bet it was like this for you too. Growing up, whenever the fire alarm would ring, everyone had to get to the bottom of it. Where's that fire at? Like that was a big scanner thing. And also they would always, after a half hour would pass the local radio station, the DJ would come on and let everyone know where the fire was. There's a grass fire 7 miles southwest of the Gardena curve. Blah, blah, blah. Like everyone was just obsessed with finding out what happened.
See, there is a use case for having a human being in a radio DJ booth.
Let us know what's burning.
Let us know what's on fire.
Have you ever once seen a fire truck just peel down a road in Fargo and just, holy fuck, what's on fire? Doesn't even cross my mind.
Nope, not at all. Like,
doesn't cross my mind at all.
I pull my car out of the way, and they're not even fully past my driver's side window before I have forgotten at all that there's a fire somewhere.
Yep.
Bart is aggravating Lisa because, of course, he is. He's making his chair squeak, and he's clicking a pen top. The clicking of the pen top is I identify with Lisa because that is a top 10 aggravating noise for me.
Oh, interesting.
Someone just click, 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 click. Oh, man, fucking lose my goddamn mind.
That kind of stuff, like, vibrates at a level my brain's not at. Like maybe you've been in a car with me before. Like, I'm the guy that could be driving in a rainstorm, then the rain stops. My windshield wipers will go dry for 50 minutes until finally someone says, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Turn that off. Like, doesn't register. Like,
and the windshield is dry, so they're really dragging across there.
Just screeching. I am in just total party bro mind. Like,
I like to envision there's just huge swaths of life that you just completely miss because they're not loud or abrasive or bright colored enough to even register with
it's
you.
like how like dogs hear at a higher frequency. My brain is just at a lower frequency. Like all that other stuff is just silence to me. Like, oh wait, oh you're right. I kind of can pick that up. Meanwhile, everyone else is just losing their minds because it's so annoying.
Holy shit.
Am I evolving or devolving? It could be.
I don't know.
You can make an argument for both.
Yes, I was about to say, I don't know if you're ahead of us or behind us. I'm not sure. I've always been thankful that I am not someone who can hear fluorescent light bulbs hum, because I have friends like that who can hear it, and I bet that is a horrifying existence.
Oh, like if I make the point to like think about it and listen, I can just slightly, but it wouldn't even cross my mind to be irritated by it.
Yeah, I have friends like that who are like, oh, I've been in this fucking Wendy's too long. The lights are bothering me because they're loud.
Really? Fascinating. Yeah. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I'm on the other side of the spectrum. I'm hard of hearing as fuck because I've done, too many jobs where I wear headphones for 10 hours a day.
Oh, yeah. Or I could tell, like I was always the kid too. If I was at like a big barn show, if it was like, oh, I got to stand, 75 yards away from the stage, or I could stand at the edge of the stage in front of the speakers, I would happily take that option. Mm-hmm, and I'm kind of paying for it now.
Yep. I did the same thing. I went to too many rock shows in my 20s where it's like, I'm just going to stand right by this stack and feel my bladder rattle throughout this entire fucking show.
Would it be so intense, like your breathing was fucked up because the bass was moving the air? Like, oh, I'm not getting enough oxygen right now. I should step away from these speakers.
I got to get out of here. I don't want to see Papa Roach badly enough to not be able to breathe.
Yeah. I mean, they already played the one hit.
Yeah. I already got what I was here for.
Yeah. I torn my life into pieces. If the song's called Last Resort, why don't you end with it?
Lisa just having a hell of a time. Bart aggravates her. Homer insists they watch TV together, and Lisa just wants to study, and she's kind of flipping out, and ends up having to go to the doctor, Dr. Hibbert, because she's having stomach pains because she is so stressed out. Hell of a thing for a 8-year-old to be dealing with.
Yeah.
There's a great speech as they're leaving where Lisa's just like, because Homer's kind of the cause of this, because he, doesn't like to do the things that she wants to do, and she doesn't like the things that he wants to do. So she gives this little speech about how, like, I just think that as I grow older, we're just going to drift further and further apart. And then it cuts to Homer has accidentally stepped on the escalator and is literally drifting apart from Lisa as he rides the escalator down. Yeah. I thought that was a fantastic visual joke.
Is it right around that point, too, we get Homer uses the phrase that touchy query crap.
Yeah, we get a little more homophobia out of Homer.
Or could we call it homophobia?
Oh, okay.
Oh, boy, Marlin. Did you see what I did there? Did you see?
If we named our episodes, that would probably be the episode title of this podcast, of this one.
God, they seem to be leaning hard into it too. Like, I don't get it. Like, well, maybe like 10 years ago, anything like gay related was such a taboo subject, they wouldn't even dare make Homer homophobic because they wouldn't even want to broach the subject. But like, Jesus, these last few seasons, we've gotten a lot of it. Like,
yeah, a lot of just, quick drive-by gay jokes in the last, I feel like, season or two of The Simpsons.
Well, there was some of it even in the good years, but it just seems like it's more, because now Homer's such a bigger bore now than he was. And everything's more Homer-centric now, it seems like.
Yeah. Like, before it was just the occasional, like, wink and nod at Smithers. But now I feel like a lot of the jokes come from Homer.
Yeah, totally.
Lisa wants to go down to this new agey kind of crystals and dream catcher shop for a some sort of holistic approach to healing her stress. There is a good dumb fun Homer joke where the hippie who runs the joint is like, "Oh, namaste," and Homer immediately just fires back, "And a ooga booga to you too." That was very funny.
I gotta make a comment about one of the notes I have here. I started by writing, "Hey Marlin, are you into sensory deprivation tanks?" And I made a note to myself, "Holy shit, am I scraping the bottom of the barrel to try and find relatable content?"
Yeah, there's not a lot of relatable stuff in this episode.
Yeah. Hey Marlin, like, I think I would know that about you if I don't think.
But
Hey Marlin, you ever been in space?
Oddly enough, I have something to say about sensory deprivation tanks.
I gotta can't trust my instincts. I gotta go out on a limb.
always write the note. I love that your note about like, "Hey, you got anything to say about sensory deprivation chambers?" is well, I'm not gonna ask that. That's wild. But then you ask things like, "Hey, did you guys have classrooms at your school?" Like, that ends up being the thing that I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? What? Like I brought nothing to the conversation we once had about water parks, but yet have something to say about sensory deprivation chambers.
What do you mean a teeter-totter? What do you think? Grow up at a Six Flags?
What am I made of money? A teeter-totter? I have never been in a sensory deprivation chamber, but have always wanted to be ever since seeing Ben Affleck's Daredevil, because he sleeps in one in that movie, and I remember seeing that as a teenager and thinking, I bet that is super relaxing and probably a fun time.
Yeah, I wish I was mentally well enough, I think, because I bet it is soothing and probably good for you, but like, I have far too much anxiety and claustrophobia to make shit like that a reality. I would not get anything relaxing out of it.
I think it would be a nice, just shut it all out. Like, I bet that what it's designed to do would be a fun thing to experience.
Like, I just realized this about myself. I have like levels of claustrophobia where if I'm watching like a sporting event and like a team wins like the World Series and they start dogpiling on each other, I almost have to turn away from the screen. That gives me that much. I mean, and then I immediately, I correct, but it's a visceral reaction. Like, oh shit, fuck. I would not want to be at the bottom of that. Like,
huh.
Or like anything cave related. Ooh.
I don't like things up around my head and face, which is something that the older kids learned real early on in my time riding the school bus. And if I ever wore anything with a hood, they would pull it up over me and zip me into it, and I would freak the fuck out as if I were dying.
Yeah.
So that's my thing like that.
Kids are fun.
Oh, yeah, they're great. Everyone should have them. There's definitely not too many already.
Yeah.
There's a line out of Lisa. She's laying in her tank, and she goes, "I don't know how I'm supposed to hallucinate with all these lights and waves moving in front of my face," which I thought was a fun setup. Yeah. And she envisions herself as Snowball 2, and there's a great... It goes from her, like, envisioning her seeing life through the cat's eyes, and then immediately smash cuts to Homer in his tank, who is just singing Witch Doctor.
Yeah. That was a good choice of a song too. I really appreciated that.
Perfect song. Yeah. I loved it. I was like, that's the perfect song for that idiot to be singing. Bart and Milhouse, in the meantime, are gonna mess with Marge because they caught her like eavesdropping on people's phone calls through the baby monitor. So they're gonna mess with Marge. Bart gets a hold of the baby monitor and pretends to be a criminal, speaking the way like a criminal from the 30s talks. Real like, "You're never gonna get me, coppa," and is like, like relaying like, okay, I think I lost the cops and I'm escaped from prison and I'm just going to hide out in this house, and reads their address. And Marge, of course, freaks out. He's like, okay, I'm walking up to the door and I'm going to open it, and he's got Milhouse outside. And so as he's explaining what he's doing, because that's how people talk, they just say everything that they're doing. He's like, okay, I'm turning the knob and I'm stepping in, and Marge fucking dicks Milhouse with that baby monitor.
Yeah, so just lays him out.
Oh my God.
Sweet, naive Milhouse is so into it. He's just loving it. Okay, here I come. Like, oh God, yeah, I got a good laugh out of that.
Oh, just shatters the baby monitor. Milhouse unconscious. And Bart, of course, is smug, like, maybe your son shouldn't be eavesdropping. And they drag Milhouse's unconscious body into the house. And she goes, okay, but if anyone asks, you hit him.
Yeah. So good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. That might have been my favorite gag of the episode.
I like Marge's occasional, like, you know, shittiness. The occasional, like, if anyone asks, you hit him.
Absolutely.
We go back to the New Age shop where the Repo Men are cleaning the place out, and they only have room for one tank, and they take Homer's. And now Homer, like, thinks this is a ride. Now he thinks that it's working, or he's feeling whatever he's supposed to be feeling, because he's getting jostled all about, being thrown in the back of a truck. And then in some real Looney Tunes shit, his tank flies out of the truck, slides down the hill right in front of the Flanders, who stop just in time, and they think it's a coffin. And Flanders, of course, thinks that, well, they deserve a proper burial, and buries Homer alive in his sensory deprivation tank. And then they show he just kind of like, the ground crumples away beneath him, and he falls into the water system, and then gets kicked out into the ocean, and then washes up on the beach where Chief Wiggum finds it and is like, and sees where it's from, and says, well, we're gonna take it back to him, and like takes the tank back to the store, the New Age shop.
Yeah, and sometimes those kind of gags are too zany for my taste, but I did get a kick out of that.
That was a fun one. That was a fun series of events.
Yeah. How beat up and bruised he is.
Yeah. Lisa has a hallucination in her tank where she sees herself as Homer being at something at the ballet with Lisa, and Lisa kind of chewing him out for falling asleep. And then she, as Homer, thinks to herself, like, oh, I wish she would, ease up on me a little. I only came because she wanted to. And so Lisa kind of comes to the realization of like, oh yeah, he takes me to stuff that he doesn't want to go to all the time, so I should maybe let up on Homer. And I always love the, like, Lisa and Homer endings to these episodes. They're always very wholesome, because Lisa and Homer don't fit together at all. But by the end of a Lisa and Homer episode, they're always doing some good father-daughter shit, and it's always very wholesome. In this one, they end up going to the Demolition Derby, which is what Homer wanted to go to.
Were demo derbies big in your neck of the woods? They had to be, weren't they?
I feel like certain county fairs were known for like, oh yeah, they always got a good one. So there was always like one or two every summer you could go to if you wanted to, but I don't think I've ever been to one. Like we've talked about before with like motocross and monster trucks. It's not especially my jam.
Yeah. Me either, except demo derbies. They're the ones I can get into. And even then, there's an asterisk by it. Sometimes, just like all motorsport shit, it runs too long sometimes. I get bored, but like I do enjoy a good smash 'em up. Like, and also, it's the only motorsport I've ever participated in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if we have time, Marlin, to discuss my foray into the exciting world of Demolition Derby. But yeah, it would have been, holy shit, this is perfect timing. When this episode aired, I was 2 or 3 months away from making my Demolition Derby debut.
Oh, you're coming up on a demolition derby anniversary.
Yep, it would have been like June of '99. I was just out of high school, and me and my buddies, my grandpa, I think maybe we discussed, he was a junk collector. He had dozens of cars laying around at his place, and I think it was a '74 Chevy Impala. We got that thing running in parentheses. It didn't run well, but we got it running, and there was hours of work put into getting a demo derby car, a proper demo. If you want to actually have a fighter's chance, there's a lot that goes into it. We had a lot of fun that summer.
Got to fill all these doors with concrete.
Yeah, they frown on that. But yeah, it seems like a lot of motorsports. The phrase that's often repeated is, "If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying." And it's kind of, even if you're not a motorsports person, there's a lot of interesting little tips and tricks that go into it that I just found fascinating. Like my buddies that were more well versed, like, you gotta cut a 4-inch by 4-inch hole into the firewall. So if this happens, your distributor cab won't shatter when it hits the firewall. And you got to take the transmission. You can't have all that little linkage in the column because that's how cars used to shift. So you have to change that so it's just a stick coming out of the floor. So yeah, a lot of little fascinating little shit. The one thing we forgot to do...
More to it than you thought.
Yeah, totally. The one thing we forgot to do, though, is brace the seat. Because if you are a beefy boy, such as myself, one solid hit is going to snap that seat. And that's what happened to me, so...
Okay, I think you need to just tell this story, apparently, because you've put enough tidbits in here now.
So we had the car ready to go, and it was a big derby. Like the Bottineau County Derby is one of the bigger derbies around, and the only person I knew in my area in the pit was a buddy of mine named Ryan, and he'd been building cars. He was older than me. He knew what he was doing. He was like, "Hey, let's take it easy on each other," and they're LOL. Okay. For some reason, neither of us did. As soon as the flag drops right to the floorboards, and we smack each other. Looking back, probably took 10 years off both of our lives. Like, brutal hit. And my seat immediately snapped. So I don't have any back on my seat anymore. So every hit, it's like I'm riding a bucking bronc. All I have is a belt lap on. So every hit, my head is ricocheting back at an alarming speed. I have to sit up, and then it happens over again. I am wildly concussed at this point. And I didn't realize it till after, again, brain injuries, they're interesting. And it was like after finally the adrenaline runs down, I'm like, why are my legs warm? I look, every time I was getting flipped back, my legs were kicking up and they were getting like chopped by the underneath of the dash. So it just looked like someone had taken a meat cleaver up and down my shins. It's like, oh yeah, that's not good. That's not what you want. So yeah, my car, valiant as it put up with a fight because it was a good. And that's another thing you learn. Certain cars make better derby cars than others, and Chevy sedans of that era were good. So it put up a hell of a fight, but. I'm trying to think what if I had any. Oh, I had a Ric Flair quote painted on it because that was my thing, was getting it.
Oh my God!
Like, I begrudgingly got sponsors, but I made sure to have room for other things. Like I had a huge note on it that said, "Please don't hit me. I don't have any insurance," which did not stop
adorable.
anyone. Wasn't that fun? I can't remember if I painted that Marilyn Manson lightning bolt on my car or a buddy of mine's car, but that happened too. So, yeah.
What Ric Flair line did you have on this car?
Oh, God. Was it many are called, but few are chosen? Or to be the man, you got to beat the man? It was
perfect.
Yeah, it was one of those two.
I was hoping it was that one.
Yeah. But yeah, and then so I get, I finally, I can't remember what went wrong, why I had to put my flag up, but it's over, and I'm like, oh boy, I'm not well. And I'm still trying to gather my bearings because my head's fucked up. And my buddies just diligently are jacking it up, and then they're like getting it. I was like, what's going on right now? Oh, we got to get this thing ready for the consolation. I'm like, consolation round? Like, guys, I think I'm not bleeding in my skull right now. But thankfully, we popped it open, and it looked like someone had just an absent-minded kid had just casually twisted the drive shaft into knots. So oh, that car ain't going anywhere. And I silently thanked God. Thank you. Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah.
That's gotta be a miserable experience inside of the car, even if you had a proper seat.
No, man, it was a rush. It was a rush. Like, man, you want to talk about head on a swivel and so fucking loud. That's the one thing 20 years later sticks with me. Like, it is deafening, but I don't know, man. I was into it until the multiple concussions. Then I was just like dizzy. But you just don't know what's coming next. Like, and my friends that actually got good at it say it's that there's that initial rush, but then as cars get knocked out, then you get your wits about you a little more, and you realize, okay, it's there's only a couple cars left. What's the plan? What do I do? What's wrong with my car too? It's like I'm not driving forward so hot. That's not good. Or like something's wrong. Or like that's too much steam. I don't have much time. I better make something happen. That kind of thing.
There's triage and strategy in the late game of
there's a lot of there's sandbagging to a point that oftentimes they have to make rules against sandbagging.
Yeah, so you can't just sit off to the side and not get hit
you have
the whole time.
That'll happen too. You have to have the last hit. Like a car will get hung up, and the car will just drive up to it and just gently tap it, and then back up. Like, okay, I hit him last, so if he doesn't get himself dislodged, I win.
Yeah. Is there some manner of honor among thieves? Is there a code to the demolition driver to where it's like, oh, that guy's pinned up against the wall, I'm not going to hit him at 40 miles an hour?
Well, it's more so it's a strategic. I'm not going to hit him for the chance it's going to dislodge him. If that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. And there really is, especially with the drivers that want to win. And because it becomes sometimes derbies get to be not entertaining because people are too eyes on the prize and they're not driving like maniacs, and that's what you want in a derby,
right.
And then our derby almost got ruined by team driving, that no one would even participate because this group of 6 or 7 guys would work as a team, and they, to their credit, would build kick-ass cars, and just no one could beat them. So I think they got rid of that by dropping the entry fee, so knuckleheads like me could just join in and kick the windows out of your grandma's old car and just raise hell.
Oh God, yeah, I never had any desire to participate in that world.
Yeah, it's looking back and it's way more work. If I ever did it again, I would join the Herbie Derby, which is the 4-cylinder derby. Because with those, there's no multiple rounds. As far as, at least back in those days, it was just one and done. You either win it or you're done. Because if you're doing a big car, a full-size car, then there's consolations. There's another round if you happen to make it. So you have to be ready and have the equipment ready to get your car ready to go for, an hour later when it's time to do the final round and stuff. I was thinking about that. We didn't have shit. What would we have done if I somehow stumbled out of there and made it to the finals,
Yeah, that's more involved than I would want a demolition derby to be. I don't need, brackets. Yep. Everyone get in there and start something on fire and let's all go home.
I remember it was my time in the derby if I was helping a buddy. And no, it was because my buddy made it to the final. So it's like a mad dash, especially if you're in a late heat. We only got 20 minutes. And so I am probably drunk. But my buddy, who it's his car, he's working pretty diligently trying to get everything ready. And this middle-aged man who was a classmate of ours, his dad, stumbles up, literally piss pants drunk because he stunk. And he's kind of just standing in the way. And we're all trying to hauling stuff here and there. And he's just talking about demo derbies. My buddy's like, can I help you, man? And he just kind of sadly, like a sad puppy, just kind of and then he just looks at us. He's like, yeah, I smoke dope. That was never even a question. And lets out the most thunderous burp you've ever heard. It was 30 years of crushing old Milwaukee's came out of him at once. And then he just stumbled off into the distance. What kind of sad absentee father Johnny Appleseed just visited us? Go give that wisdom to somebody else at the fair.
Did we just meet someone from a fable? What is happening?
Yeah. Oof, I didn't expect a fable to smell that bad.
Oh, shit. Well, it sounds like it was quite the
Yeah,
experience.
and it looked like Lisa, or at least Lisa enjoyed Homer enjoying himself. So all's well that ends well.
Yeah, exactly. She's not having fun, but he is, and there's value in that. So.
Yeah.
Good one. I mean, I like a Lisa episode. We know that. So
In a show that has become less wholesome, I like a good wholesome ending.
yeah, that was a solid one.
Yeah. So our next episode is Maximum Homer Drive, which I'm going to say right now, you haven't heard me say this in a while, Marlin. I have seen this episode before.
Oh, really?
Yep. This was the episode that I used to always think of when people would talk about how shitty the show became. I remember really enjoying this episode when I saw it.
Yeah, we haven't come across one you've seen before since season 2.
Yeah,
so
1 and 2, we got it a lot. And then in season 5, the Itchy and Scratchy Land episode is one that I had seen.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I, much like you, I don't know if you came away with a different opinion this time around, but I really liked this episode a lot.
Yeah, this would be my favorite of this batch, and one of my favorites of the last month of seasons or episodes we've been watching, probably.
Yeah, this was one where I too was like, "Oh, this is the best one in a while."
Yeah.
So,
and then oh man, so a lot of this was up my alley. First off, they're in a steakhouse. I just like the feel of it so far with the Simpsons at the steakhouse.
yeah, I love the design of the steakhouse, how it looks. I love the shtick of picking a cow and they kill it for you, like picking a lobster.
It's like a fucking Hellraiser movie in there, and Homer's just loving it.
And when Burns is there, just like, oh, I want that one. No, I changed my mind. I want that one. And kills 6 of these animals with that guy with just dead-eyed and annoyed with that capture bolt. Just thunk.
And on that note, holy, we haven't had much Burns lately.
Yes, I had the exact same thought when he showed up there. I was like, oh, we haven't had a Burns one in a while.
And another thing, I am not a person that's into this because I cannot eat much in one sitting. I'm sure that's came up before, but I like restaurants that have an eating challenge.
Yes, I love a, eat this thing and you get a free t-shirt. Yep. I love that kind of thing. I've never done one.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to.
You think you got what it takes?
It depends on the thing.
Yeah.
Depends on what it is. There's one, I forget if it's in Minot or Devil's Lake or maybe a small town, but somewhere on the north side of North Dakota, there's a place that does a 12-egg omelet.
Yep, Devil's Lake.
Is it Devil's Lake? I think I could do that one.
Yeah.
Because it's like a 12-egg omelet and then half a pound of cheese and half a pound of ham and a pound of this and a pound of that.
And then a bunch of hash browns too, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
A bunch of hash browns. And I think there's a bowl of chili in it also. I bet I could do that because I bet I could eat 12 eggs right now without any prep or anything.
On a comedy trip, I watched our fellow comedian and mutual friend of both of ours, Josh Dulay, attempt to do that. And I was like, well, you can't do that because you are very hungover. But the casualness that he ordered it made it seem like this was just a walk in the park. I was like, holy shit, this kid's going to do it. But yeah, he fell short. I bet he got about 60% of it down. And he just realized, oh man, I am 40 minutes in. It's like, I'm not going to finish this. And every bite that I take is going to add to the pain I'm going to feel on this car trip. So I think discretion beat out valor in this case.
I think I could do that one. There's one here in town that is a giant pizza. It's like a 4-foot across pizza. And the prize, I think the prize is $5,000. It's either 1,000 or 5,000.
Oh wow, really?
And no one's ever done it because it's frankly impossible. Like they were talking. I had a buddy who tried it, and so there were a bunch of us there, and it's like, yeah, you gotta do it in this amount of time, and if you do the math, it's the equivalent of 4 large pizzas, and no one can eat 4 large pizzas in like an hour or whatever they want you to complete it in. So, of course, no one's ever done it.
Jesus, yeah. Just trying to picture that. Picture 4 large pizzas stacked on top of each other, trying to eat that in a sitting. Like,
yeah, and it was, you have to pick 2 toppings. And my buddy, thinking strategically, picked onion and green pepper. Like, I get it. I get what you're thinking. Like, those are light toppings.
Yep.
That's better than ground beef
Yeah.
or ham. But, like, so he ate maybe a quarter of it and had to tap out. I don't remember if he tapped out or if time ran out, but for whatever reason, he didn't win. But then I'm like, oh, now you're stuck with the equivalent of 3 large onion and green pepper pizzas. Who wants that?
2 toppings I'd never want on a pizza.
Those are miserable pizza toppings.
Yeah.
But yeah, he failed that one spectacularly. But again, I'm pretty sure that one's impossible.
Homer's, the food challenge at the steakhouse is sirloin a lot. And when they announce it, and the kid says it's the size of a boogie board. Christ, that made me laugh. That's a great size description for a steak.
Great descriptor.
Yeah.
Also, I think they announce it as being 16 pounds,
Yeah,
which again is impossible.
Yep. Because Homer is originally complaining about the paltry sizes of the steak.
Yeah. My point of reference for this is always the old 96er in The Great Outdoors with John Candy.
Nothing on that plate but fat and gristle.
If I get a couple of sides down him, you think you can throw some t-shirts in for the kids?
God, that's a good movie.
Fuck, that movie's so good.
And
we should do the omelet one sometime and document it, because I think I could do it.
We should. There we go. That could be some Patreon content.
Yeah, we're making content, baby. Yeah. That's what you got to do. You got to play the game.
And so Homer is intrigued by this, but he's told by a polite fellow diner named Red that, I don't know if you want to try to tackle sirloin a lot. And there's a good gag where it's like, only 2 people have done it, and they show it like on a plaque. One of them is that guy, and the other guy is Tony Randall, which... Why? But I laughed. I was like, why Tony Randall?
That's a good joke. Like if you're gonna put up an obscure celebrity who definitely couldn't do that,
not a large
Tony
man.
Randall's a pretty fun one.
Yep. And Homer, because this was fun, dumb Homer. It takes him far too long to realize that the other guy is the one telling him that he probably shouldn't do it. That Red has done it. But Homer
takes him forever to figure out that he's the man in the photo.
Homer is pig-headed, and he challenges Red, even though Red has hung up his competitive eating bib for good. But he's like, I can give the people what they want.
Well, I've already eaten an entire lamb, but I can. I thought that was a great joke.
Another sirloin a lot in me. So they're almost like on a stage, kind of like almost like the hot dog eating contest. Like everyone's really into this. And one of my favorite gags is the fact that fucking Homer starts loading up on dinner rolls.
That's his instinct. He's just frantically buttering that dinner roll.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. No, Homer. My note is no, Homer. Don't fill up on bread.
Yeah. Marge in the crowd. No.
And then we fast forward to like the end of it, and Homer is hitting a wall. He's like out cold, and like Marge is still rooting on. Like the rest of the family's still rooting on. And it's like he can't. He's full, and like Bart tries to lob some steak into his mouth, but he's like literally full of food. Like there's no room for the steak to stay in.
It just rims out of the mouth every time, and Bart tries to make that shot like 8 times.
Yeah.
Like it goes on too long. It's so good.
But Red, true to form, he finishes the sirloin a lot.
And leans back with a big old smile on his face and dies.
Yeah.
Meat poisoning, Dr. Hibbert.
Yep. Yeah, Dr. Hibbert, who is an owner of the Slaughterhouse restaurant.
Yeah, he's got 12% in this restaurant.
So, due to some kind of weird code of the road, Homer gets Red's rig. And what is the name of that rig again? What's the on the side of it?
The Red Rascal with this like pervy cartoon fox with his arm around a lady.
It's like a zoot suit wearing fox with two women in swimsuits. Yeah, that's the logo on it. I enjoy a truck that has some pizzazz.
Me too. If I'm bombing down the interstate, I want to see trucks that some guys have sunk some money into, you know, because I feel like you see a lot of the regular old, hey, here's my name and phone number in mailbox letters on the door. And it's like, no, give your truck a fun name. That's what I want.
I wonder if kind of in the late 70s when trucker life kind of became cool for a hot second, I wonder if maybe there was some more pizzazz around that time because like you were kind of more proud of it. Now it's more like that's a job, you know. Basically, a truck is their cubicle, you know. Some people want to hang up flair, but a lot don't, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the trucks you see are owned by the company.
Yeah, so not everyone's an owner-operator. Good point, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you see fewer and fewer, you know, this is my truck, and I just hook onto trailers.
Like, I want to see like that goddamn one from Maximum Overdrive where it's like a giant, angry, like, goblin face on the front of the truck, like which I fucking love that movie. First of all, I with you there. Is it dumb and implausible at points? I just like the idea that at peak popularity, a major studio gave a very coked out of his mind Stephen King some money to make a movie.
Yeah, and he directed that movie and claims to not remember a thing about it.
Yep,
because cocaine's a hell of a thing.
Yep, cocaine and the booze. I think it's also Cujo, the novel Cujo. He doesn't remember anything about writing it.
His own cameo in Maximum Overdrive at the very beginning when the machines all start coming to life and that ATM machine says, "Fuck you, asshole," on it. And it's Stephen King leaning over it going, Honey, this machine called me an asshole. Such a good cameo. Yeah. That's a top tier cameo.
Yeah. It's so dumb. Why would a machine, like, if it's, what do they gain from insulting you? They just want to kill you and take over. Like, oh, yeah, but God, yeah, love that. And fucking AC/DC's in it. Like,
yeah, they do the whole soundtrack. Yeah. That's a good movie.
I'm trying to think if the song Who Made Who, was that like an original for this soundtrack? Or that might have also been like an original from like a greatest hits album or something like that.
Right. I'm not sure where that came from. But yeah, that truck, that's just the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. Yeah. And I don't know how they got away with that, if they had to license that.
Yeah. Oh, you're good point. That's exactly what that is. Yeah. Oh, God, I wonder. Yeah.
So, we could talk about Maximum Overdrive all day if we allowed ourselves.
So Homer is now in charge of the Red Rascal, and in total Homer fashion, him and Bart just go on the road. It's like, well, what about work? What about school? Like, I will deal with that later. Yeah. They just take off and leave the rest of the family. Homer doing typical Homer shit. They're just wasting way too much time. Like, they go fishing, they go to a drive-in movie. Like, what is it? Bart lets him know they have to go 2,200 miles in 10 hours.
Yep.
Which, you do the math there. That's pretty
not possible.
Yep. And this is when we discover that the truck will drive itself with a Navitron auto drive system. And he's at a truck stop fueling up, and he's talking about it. And some other truckers overhear him and let him know that, hey, you keep this to yourself. This is a secret. They're willing to. We're all getting paid to pretend to drive truck. Let's keep it that way. Like, we don't want this secret to get out.
Don't let anybody know that we're just slacking off this whole time.
Yep. And in the B plot, Lisa and Marge and Lisa are kind of like, they always get to go on these fun adventures. We never get to do anything fun. So Marge takes the reins, and what does she do? They go doorbell shopping. Decide to add a little pizzazz to the Simpson doorbell.
That's the adventure that she wants to go on, is buying a new doorbell.
And they settle on one. It plays a little bit of it plays a jingle from I think it's a Carpenter's song.
Yeah, the Why Do Birds
Yep.
Suddenly Appear?
That's
I
what
don't know
it
what
is.
the name of that song is, but that's the little refrain it plays.
Yep. And the trouble is that it sticks and it continues to play that song forever and ever and on a loop until it drives the townspeople mad. But meanwhile, Bart and Homer are trucking away. They got the Autotron. They don't got to give a shit about anything. They're supposed to keep it cool, but fucking Homer climbs onto the hood of a moving truck because, hey, why not? The truck will drive itself.
Just ghost riding the whip.
Yeah, ghost ride that whip. Had not thought about ghost riding a whip in a while. And some other truckers see it, and it is on. Bart and Homer have fallen under the ire of the truck driving community, and that's not a community you want to cross.
Nope.
Yeah, they are very upset about all this, and they're gonna ice Homer and Bart to keep their secret safe. They have a roadblock ahead. Oh, actually, before the roadblock, even there is some high speed action. Truckers trying to slice their tires and this and that. And finally, Bart and Homer think they're free, except there's a roadblock. And now the Autotron has a self-preservation mode. So it announces it can no longer drive safely to Red and bursts through the ceiling and parachutes to safety, which I thought was a great visual.
Yep, just ejects itself.
Yeah.
After a quick little, howl,
Yeah.
I can't let you do that, Dave,
Yep.
thing, and then kicks itself out.
And so Homer is now driving a truck that he does not know how to drive, and just by the grace of God, he ends up rolling it. It does a jackknife. It does a huge flip, somehow clears the roadblock of semis and lands on the road. So the truckers now have to kind of tip their hats. They've never seen driving like that before. And they let Bart and Homer go on their way. And they have a little trucker discussion. It's like, hey, guys, that just makes me think maybe we don't need to drive like this. Let's drive trucks like our fathers did. And someone goes, you mean drunk?
Yeah, that was such a good
answer. Joke. No, with our wits and our skills, we don't need it. And then the whole guy's like, nah, I'm just going to go back to Hull and counterfeit Beanie Babies. Or bootlegging Beanie Babies. That's
bootlegging
what it was.
Beanie Babies, yeah.
Oh God, that was good. And I got to think about truckers. Why did the wallet chain originate with truckers? They're alone 23 hours a day.
The only thing I can think of is maybe because it slides out of your pocket easily when you're in a seat that long, and then you lose it in the truck.
Good catch. That could be, yeah.
That would be my best guess. It's not about leashing it to yourself so no one steals it. It's so that you don't lose it.
Oh, well, look at you. That's like fucking Mythbusters over here. Getting all sorts of answers to questions.
I'm not saying that's true.
But at least it's plausible.
That's what I think.
Yep.
Yeah. That's my theory.
And I also have to get back to the Marge and Lisa plot, because we've discussed this, like silly things that you associated with wealth as a kid. I associated doorbells with wealth.
Yeah.
Because trailer houses don't have doorbells. I'm sure you get old farmhouses don't have doorbells.
No, they don't.
Yep.
You knock on that thing.
Yep. So I remember thinking, like, oh man, your house is fancy if you have a doorbell. Because again, it's just something I saw on TV.
I always thought the same thing about like a door knocker as well, like the thing that dangles on your door that you use to knock.
Man, looking back too, hey, I don't want to give anyone any ideas, but if you want to commit a B&E, do it in a trailer house. A grown man can casually punch through a trailer house front door. That is the thinnest of particle board. I think it's just cork in the middle.
Like a Sammy Sosa bat.
Yep, totally. Yeah, like a 1/8 inch wood veneer with cork in between is all a trailer house door is.
It's like IKEA furniture.
Yep, exactly. It is. It's Walmart furniture in a home.
But the thing you have to worry about is that you're going to be dealing with spicy people if you're
exactly
breaking and entering into a trailer home.
Yeah,
So
it is.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah, these are not pearl clutching middle-aged rich folk. You never. They might be so apathetic they won't even put up a fight, or they could be full of meth. It was sharpening their teeth, literally sharpening their teeth, waiting for someone to break in.
Easy to get into, hard to get out of.
So the community, there's like a mob brewing in the front yard because of this endless doorknob chime. And I'm trying to think because the goddamn senor, the doorbell salesman shows up like Zorro.
Senor Ding Dong.
That's what it is. Yeah. And he saves the day.
Yeah, he just cracks the doorbell with his bullwhip and fixes it.
And then, and all's well that ends well at the Simpson household.
Yeah. I hope we come back to that doorbell. I hope that is the show's doorbell from now on. I hope that's canon.
That would be kind of neat, yeah. Or one thing I was going to mention, you know who we see in this episode we haven't seen a whole lot of lately is the bee guy.
Oh, yeah. He's in the mob there at the end.
Like, I think it's around season 2 or 3. We get 3 or 4. We get a lot of the bee guy.
Yeah, even if he was never like super major or had much for speaking parts, I feel like he was always there. Or maybe you just always notice him because he sticks out so much.
And it's right around the time that he is prominently featured. It's also around the time where the sea captain is prominently featured as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm fresh out of ice cold water, so we got to wrap this shit up. Let's do it.
It's a good way to. It's like an advertising plug. Nothing's refreshing as ice cold water.
Episode number 18, last one of the batch, is Simpsons Bible Stories. Kind of a out of nowhere, like we only get anthologies in Treehouse of Horror form, so this one seems a little out of place, but whatever, I'm kind of into it. Like we've talked about with Treehouse of Horror in particular, I like a good anthology. Why not? Let's give me some short stories. The family is in church for Easter, and there's an Easter heat wave happening, apparently. Everyone is fanning themselves. Lovejoy is pissed because someone put a chocolate bunny in the collection plate, which is a hilarious thing to throw into a collection plate. And there's a great moment where they have the two oscillating fans up on stage, I don't think it's considered a stage, but whatever.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt, but do we know what denomination the Simpsons are? Does that ever come up?
I don't know. Is like Lovejoy wears the white collar? Is that only a Catholicism thing?
But he also has a wife.
True, so it can't be that.
Yeah, I wonder.
I didn't know other denominations wore collars. I thought that was strictly a Catholic thing, or maybe because it's the Simpsons, they like do both just so they're not making fun of any one in particular.
I think growing up, like our pastor had a collar, maybe not, but yeah. I don't know. I thought maybe he did. Yeah, but yeah, they just must be some more tame brand of Protestant would be my guess. Like,
yeah, some like the wife thing throws Catholicism out, so it's some flavor of non-Catholic.
Yeah, nothing too exciting. They're not handling snakes or speaking in tongues or anything like that. But yeah,
exactly. Not Baptists, but not Catholics. They're somewhere in the middle.
I was going to ask, with Catholics, is it like a small town Lutheran church where like every month there's like a different group of guys? There's like a schedule for who the ushers are, like. Because I was thinking, like, I remember once you got confirmed, if you still went to church, you were on the cycle. Like every couple months, you'd be the guy that has to hand out the offering, hand out the fucking whatever that thing is called, and then it go down the aisle, you grab it, bring it to the next one, and shit like that. Like
to the next pew, yeah. In growing up in Catholicism, that was always the case. Like there was always, I don't know that it was everyone in the congregation, but it was probably something you volunteered for, and then you just got put into the rotation of like, okay, so-and-so, you guys are ushers this week, and you guys are, collection basket guys next week, and you're the bell ringer this week. There's probably there was definitely some manner of schedule.
Our church was so honky-tonk, we didn't have a real bell. We had just like a pre-recorded bell. Someone just pushed,
that's awesome.
pushed play on a cassette.
Push play.
There was
my
some
God,
PA
like the
speakers.
national anthem at a high school
Yep,
football game.
Totally like that.
I like that they have the fans set up blowing out into the audience, and then Lovejoy is mad about this chocolate rabbit, so he pulls out the good book and he's gonna do some preaching, and fucking Flanders pipes up, "It's a little hard to hear you with those fans. Maybe we could shut those off."
Oh,
and
God,
the crowd,
yeah.
of course, all grumbles
So
at
great.
fucking Flanders.
Flanders being Flanders.
Marge dozes off, and she has a dream sequence of her and Homer as Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and Flanders being the voice of God, of course.
Nice touch.
And they're just living their Adam and Eve life. There's a weird... It goes on throughout this episode, but there's a talking pig in the Garden of Eden who Homer just peels pork off of and
willingly
eats, and then he
gives himself.
and then he just kind of happily trots away. There's a moment later in the episode where he offers him up some ribs, and Homer like plunges his hand into this pig and pulls out a half rack of pork ribs. I thought that was funny because that exact same bit I watched just last week on season 2 of Solar Opposites on Hulu, and had a very Simpsons did it moment.
Oh, no kidding.
When seeing it happen here, I was like, "Oh, the Simpsons were way ahead on that one."
Boy,
that show pretty fucking good, by the way. If you
I've
like
seen
Rick and Morty,
advertisements for
you
it.
should
Yeah.
watch. If you enjoy Rick and Morty, give Solar Opposites a whirl.
and this one of the 3 stories we watch in this episode just lets you know how goddamn dumb the Garden of Eden story and concept is. Like, hey, I made this awesome place for my creation. Just don't eat from that tree. Hey, man, why'd you make the tree?
I made one fucking kill switch for yourself.
Why?
Just for funsies, I guess.
Can't you do that to your own kid? Here's a playroom with all these fun toys. But if you play with that toy, you're damned forever. What? Take that kid away from him. He's a lunatic.
Yeah, it's giving your kids an entire room full of toys to play with, except one is a live hand grenade.
Yeah, so fucking dumb.
So they go through, they go through the beat by beat of the Adam and Eve story. Snake tempts them to eat the apple, and it's actually Snake, like his face and his voice, which I thought was funny. Homer immediately slams like a dozen of these apples, and then finally goads Marge into taking a bite out of one. She takes one bite and is immediately busted by God Flanders. Homer fucking sells her out, just throws her right under the bus, just like, "Oh, yep, she ate it, definitely not me." So now Homer is all sad because he's stuck in the Garden of Eden, but he can see by hanging on a giraffe's neck that Marge is on the outside and like struggling. She's like trying to start a fire.
I think her line is, "I'm toiling. What does it look like?"
Good word, toiling. So he decides he's going to help her get back in. A groundhog and a unicorn help dig her a tunnel to get back in, and the unicorn dies immediately as soon as it gets. It gets tunneled outside of the wall.
Not a naturally burrowing animal.
No, I get that it has a digging utensil. Like, that horn is probably useful, but not an underground animal.
Somewhat of an off topic, my dad once shot a deer that had a unicorn horn growing in the middle of its head.
Really?
As a kid, I thought that was pretty baller.
Awesome. Yeah. That is baller. Should have mounted that.
He did, yeah. So it has like a normal, decent-sized rack with one horn coming right out the middle of its forehead.
That's fucking metal. I'm pretty into
looking
that.
back, like, that should have been a Mastodon cover.
One of my favorite things, and favorite historical little anecdotes, and probably my next tattoo design. In the 30s, there's a biologist named Dr. William Dove who created a unicorn bull. And you can find pictures if you Google Dr. Dove's Unibull is what it's called. He transplanted the horn growing material from where they usually are on a bovine and transplanted it in the center of its forehead and grew a bull unicorn, and it looks fucking rad.
No kidding. Playing God.
Yep.
Making a mockery of God's design. Bravo.
Yep.
That does sound pretty metal.
If you look up the photos, it's all like grainy 1930s newspaper photos, and it looks metal as shit.
Yeah, that combo with the grainy footage, yep, I'm into it.
And that thing went on to lead a long, healthy life and was like the alpha of the herd because it could fuck up everything else.
I bet, yeah.
And use its horn to like get through fences and shit. Like, hell yeah. That thing rules.
I hope that was the scientific consensus. Hell yeah, that thing rules.
In conclusion, that thing rules. So Ned immediately catches them that Eve March has snuck back in and kicks them out and laments the death of his one unicorn, whose name is Gary, which is a pretty amazing unicorn name. And we kind of come back to the church. I'm assuming that if you were watching this on TV, this is returning from commercial break. I'm sure it's split up that way. Lisa dozes off for now. We covered Genesis. Now we're headed to Exodus. Lisa dozes off. All of the school kids are the Egyptian Jewish slaves, and there's Pharaoh Skinner lording over all of them. Bart vandalizes Pharaoh Skinner's sarcophagus, and the burning bush rats him out immediately, which I thought was funny. We get Milhouse in kind of the starring role, which we never get. Milhouse is Moses. Milhouse goes to ask Pharaoh Skinner to let his people go, and Lisa and Milhouse are thrown into the pyramid. Milhouse takes that opportunity to ask Lisa if they could ever be more than friends, and Lisa just real annoyed, just not now, Moses, really?
One thing we get in this episode, too, is we get Cleopatra Krabappel, which really hurts my pants, tell you that.
I like that she's like dictating a note from the pharaoh. And she's like, okay, I have bird, giant eye, pyramid, bird. Some of these hot hieroglyphics jokes, which I enjoyed. Milhouse and Lisa escape the pyramid, and Milhouse leads the children out of Egypt. For the parting of the seas bit, they all flush the Egyptian porta potties all at the same time, and the sea just drains. And then, of course, as it does, fills back in behind them, drowning the pharaoh and Wiggum and all the rest of the Egyptians.
Which, the flush. I like the Milhouse getting a starring role. I'm very pro Milhouse. I like Lisa being like the brains of the operation that doesn't get any credit. I found the flushing of the toilets just like a silly, not that funny gag, but kind of like a whatever, I guess.
Kind of how I feel about this whole episode.
I think I like the Treehouse of Horror more because
good catch.
I'm more into Halloween shit than I am boring as Bible stories. I like source material.
That being said, though, like these stories are so ubiquitous to me that it was fun to see, like, you know, Moses Milhouse and, you know, like little shit like that. Like, oh, Snake is the snake. Like some of that stuff. There's plenty of it where I'm like, yeah, clever. Okay. But then immediately forgotten.
And is the next one, though, with Homer as King Solomon, was this one really short or was it just me?
Extremely. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't even go anywhere. It's just like Homer dozes off and he's King Solomon and someone comes forward. They're disputing who owns this pie and he cuts the pie in half and eats both halves of the pie and sentences the other two to death.
Letty and Carl. Poor Letty and Carl.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah. But I was like looking at my
Homer
notes. I'm like, what did I miss? But I don't think I did. That was it.
Nope. That was it. Homer gets a quick little drive-by dream sequence. Bart is the last one to do it. He dozes off, and he's King David. Grandpa Abe is Methuselah, who's been stabbed in the back by Goliath too.
Yeah.
I do like the whole vibe of this being, what if Bart wrote an 80s action sequel to David and Goliath?
That sheep workout montage, like him curling one sheep, was so good.
Yeah. So Nelson is Goliath, which is pretty perfect. He's also like enormous. I get Goliath was a giant, but he's like fairy tale size giant.
He's like, Jack and the Beanstalk giant.
Yeah, exactly. Bart comes in all cocky with his crown and his sling, but can't find a pebble and gets just fucking thrashed by Nelson, which was funny. He puts Bart in his giant sling and flings him away and takes Bart's crown, or David's crown, I guess. Ralph the Shepherd is where Bart lands and is just like, well, I'm going to go slay Goliath too, and walks off into the distance, smash cut to his tombstone because he died off screen. And that's when we get our Bart training montage. He's with Ralph's sheep and just like, curling one of the sheep. And it's only like a 10-second thing, but there's good music going. Real fun little training montage. Bart heads to the Tower of Babel, where Nelson is living, apparently. We're getting a lot of streams crossed with our Bible stories here.
Yeah. It's like the Tower of Babel is also like a collection of one-bedroom apartments, which I kind of like. He just lives on one floor of it.
Yeah. I like that he throws a whale skeleton out of the top story.
How big is he?
Because they show him just like eating, a fish the way a cartoon does and throwing the skeleton. But then when it pans back, we see that it's a whale skeleton, which was that's just a fun joke about perspectives. Yeah. Who doesn't like a fun joke about perspectives? And I like that there's a skeleton inside of it, and Bart's like, oh no, Jonah, he died doing what he loved, living in a whale.
That was a good gag.
Hadn't thought of Jonah and the whale in a long time, but that was funny. Bart heads up the Tower of Babel and blows up Nelson with a lamp. Nelson turns out still alive, and Ralph kills him by stabbing him in the back of the head with his own tombstone.
We never really get any answers, but I like that. Like, what is Ralph?
I think there's even like a quick throwaway line of like, Ralph, you're alive. And he just goes, yep. And that's it. They don't address it at all.
And I really appreciate the swerve that turns out Goliath, or Nelson, pretty good leader. The people liked him. He got a lot done.
Yeah. Bart gets back down to the base of the tower and is immediately arrested because the people liked King Goliath. They're like, he built us roads. He did all this great, and you killed him, so you're under arrest.
And is it at this point we get, where is your Messiah now?
Yes, I think so. I think that's when Wiggum is arresting Bart.
Jeez, this is getting dark.
And then everyone wakes up. They're the only people left in church. Everyone else left. And Marge is like, oh, how embarrassing. We all fell asleep during church. And they step outside to Armageddon happening. There's fire raining from the sky. We get the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. We pan over.
Flanders family ascends.
Yep, we pan over to the Flanders silently praying, and they all get raptured. They all get pulled up into the clouds. And then a beam of light hits Lisa, and she starts to ascend, and Homer pulls her back down. Just like, no.
Yeah, we do it as a family, or we don't do it at all.
And the A hole in the ground opens up, revealing a stairway, and the Simpsons walk down the stairway to hell, and then AC/DC's Highway to Hell plays over the credits.
And we get Homer complaining about the food. I remember the last thing he laments is German potato salad.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's like, oh, they're out of hot dogs or something along those lines. And then, German potato salad.
Or was there pineapple in the coleslaw? Is that the food that's in the coleslaw that he's lamenting?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the coleslaw's got pineapple in it.
Who does that? Is that a thing?
I've heard of that. I've never had that, but I've heard of that.
That is an abomination. That is.
I can imagine that being good. The vinegary kind of coleslaw dressing with pineapple.
I shouldn't judge, lest my coleslaw taste be judged. And I thought the AC/DC was a nice touch.
I thought it was a little obvious, but whatever.
I'm just a mark for 70s era AC/DC too.
Oh, okay. And I'm a mark for zero AC/DC.
We've discussed, Bon Scott era AC/DCs. That's on my short list of favorite musical things.
Yeah, I get it.
Anyone that gets Kiss can at least get that a little bit. Yeah. Neither of them are writing songs that are real introspective.
Exactly. Not big thinking tunes. But I get why people like them. Mm-hmm. And that wraps up that batch of episodes. Kind of out with a whimper. I didn't much care for that last one. But not even that it was bad, just that it was uninteresting.
Kinda, okay. The Adam and Eve one for me was so boring. It's like, this is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the worst of the bunch.
Just dumb Homer being dumb Homer. Like, Like the last one maybe saved it, like with the workout montage and the weirdness of Ralph somehow being immortal.
Yeah, I do think that last one is easily the best of the bunch of those three.
For as negative as I've been, I need to like this batch again. Maybe I've lowered my expectations. At least none of it made me mad. It's like fuck you guys, but no, these were. All of these episodes could have popped up in like season 8, and they probably would have been the weakest of the batch, but it wouldn't have been alarmingly bad, if that makes sense. Like,
I really like that Lisa one, and really like the trucker one.
Damn right, yeah.
Those were the highlights for me. But all around, pretty solid batch. So
like, there's some classic Simpson They good dumb Homer entering a steak contest and just casually eating dinner rolls.
Yeah. Next week we have episodes 19 to 23, and this I don't think ever happens. So I'm excited for it just because I like when things line up in my brain just right. That'll be the end of season 10. We're not going to have an episode that is half of one season and half of another.
Perhaps only the second time that's happened, I think. I think it happened once.
That sounds about right. So watch the rest of season 10 for next week, episodes 19 to 23.
We'll be there. We'll be doing it. Why don't you don't act like you're better than us. Watch The Simpsons.
Right. Just watch them. They're fun.
We're not asking you to do anything hard.
Good time. You and I got to do a fun thing with our friend Joe Christensen this past week that people can go watch on the internets. Our friend Joe Christensen hosts a podcast called Joke Quest 200, where I'm trying to think of how to explain the premise. Like, all of the guests and Joe himself all write a handful of little quick fun jokes, and then they scramble them up, and then we all read them and react and riff a little bit. And we did that show this past week. It's on YouTube. If you search for Joke Quest 200, you can find that episode that we did.
And it's take me at my word when I say you'll enjoy it. You will, if you enjoy this podcast at all, you will really enjoy that show. We have a lot of fun on it.
Yeah, doing that was a blast. It was fun to have Joe ask us to do that, and the final product, I think, was a lot of fun. I've watched it since we recorded it, and it's very funny.
Of goofs.
So yeah, a lot of good goofs, and that show also a podcast that you can listen to. So go subscribe to Joke Quest 200. I think Joe said that episode of the podcast would be out in a week or so.
Okay.
So, but you can watch it on YouTube now and see our
beautiful faces.
See our smiling goofball faces. So go enjoy that. Fucking Columbus, Ohio continues to be fucking gangsters on the downloads. Thank you, Columbus,
God bless
Ohio.
you, Columbus.
Still no idea who stumbled upon us in Columbus.
Columbus Angel is sharing the good word, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, tell your friends. The rest of you cities, stepping
up the pace.
Washington, D.C., falling behind. Columbus is just lapping fools out here.
Or how about the rest of Ohio? Cleveland, hello. Cincinnati?
Cincy.
Dayton? What are you up to, Dayton? What's going on in Dayton? That's so much more important than our fucking podcast.
Yeah. No one in Akron? Not one?
I'm getting pissed. We're going to have to end the podcast, Marlin.
All right, we'll end the podcast. Not for this episode.
I will get over my Ohio rage by next week.
I'm going to go enjoy WrestleMania. That's this weekend. So expect hot reports out of me next week when we do this.
Chapter 2 of my COVID Odyssey.
Oh, right. I guess we'll see if we have an
episode
episode
it could be in memoriam. We went there.
Oh, please don't die. I need you for this
get
show to continue.
50.
And you're my friend and whatever. But also the podcast.
For syndication rights, we have to get to 50.
Follow us on all the social medias. At Barley Basket USA on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. BarleyBasketUSA@gmail.com is the email address. We'll wrap up season 10 next week.
Cool. I'll be there. Let's do it, gang.